Chapter 934. The Yellow Spring Sect Master had boasted that the gap between the true martial realm and the mysterious king realm wasn't something that Dean Wuyun could imagine. And now, Fang Chen had said the same thing to the Yellow Spring Sect Master. Although he was in the true martial realm, the Yellow Spring Sect Master was like an ant in his eyes. What a joke! The Yellow Spring Sect Master laughed sinisterly, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. However, Fang Chen did not pay any attention to him. Crash! Fang Chen waved his hand, and a giant palm print hovered above the Five Elements peak and pressed down. Ah! Cries of agony could be heard coming from the Five Elements peak. Before the Yellow Spring Sect Master could react, all the remaining members of the Yellow Spring Sect were exterminated. Brat, I'll make sure you die without a burial ground. The Yellow Spring Sect Master only reacted after the giant palm print had exterminated all the remaining members of the Yellow Spring Sect. The Yellow Spring Sect Master attacked, and the aura of the mysterious king realm erupted. Let's stop here. Fang Chen punched out. It was a simple punch, but the Yellow Spring Sect Master couldn't block it. No. When the fist approached the Yellow Spring Sect Master, the latter's face was filled with horror, and he screamed miserably. At this time, the Yellow Spring Sect Master realized that Fang Chen's strength was far from what he had imagined. Crack! In a flash, the Yellow Spring Sect Master's body was sent flying by Fang Chen. Dean Wuyun and the others were already dumbfounded. Was Fang Chen so powerful that he could send the Yellow Spring Sect Master flying with a punch? Your strength! The Yellow Spring Sect Master quickly stood up, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. His face was filled with shock. Fang Chen walked step by step towards the Yellow Spring Sect Master. Seeing this, the Yellow Spring Sect Master cried out in horror, "No, let me go, and this matter will be over." The Yellow Spring Sect Master tried to escape, but how could Fang Chen give him the chance? Poochie! With a swing of the hidden star sword, a golden sword light instantly cleaved the Yellow Spring Sect Master into two halves. His soul scattered, and he died completely. The insufferably arrogant Yellow Spring Sect Master was easily killed by Fang Chen. This, on the Five Elements peak, many students were completely shocked. In their eyes, the Yellow Spring Sect Master's strength was heaven-defying. However, Fang Chen was able to kill the Acron Sect Master with a single slash. Just how strong was he? Dean Wuyun and the other true martial realm experts were all extremely excited. Ha ha ha! The heavens bless my Five Elements Academy. Dean Wuyun laughed loudly. The other genuine martial realm experts also came to Fang Chen's side. Master! Fang Chen cupped his hands towards the Bone Weapon Saint Master and Saint Master Danqing. I'm afraid we're no longer qualified to be your masters, Sage Master Danqing said. A teacher for a day is a teacher for life, Fang Chen said softly. Hearing this, the two old men became even happier. Fang Chen, back then, weren't you? Asked Dean Wuyun, trying his best to calm the excitement in his heart. It's a long story. Fang Chen said slowly. Dean Wuyun waved his hand and told the other higher-ups to clean up the mess. Then, he prepared to bring Fang Chen to the Five Elements peak. Right at this moment, waves of majestic aura suddenly came over. Dean Wuyun's expression changed drastically. There's an expert approaching. The other true martial realm experts also acted as if they were facing a great enemy. Seeing this, Fang Chen smiled and said, "Everyone, there's no need to be anxious. They're on the same side." As expected, as soon as Fang Chen finished his sentence, the other 13 experts immediately arrived. Yes, Fang Chen, you've already resolved the danger here, Dark Sword grinned. Possessing a space-type true meaning, your speed is indeed fast, Daoist Tianhong said. 13 profound kings floated in the air, their auras majestic. Below, Dean Wuyun and the others were completely shocked. So many profound kings are Fang Chen's good friends. Everyone was dumbfounded. Just what had Fang Chen experienced to have so many profound kings as good friends? The entire ancient Sword continent didn't have a single profound king. Just where had these profound kings come from? Everyone, please wait a moment. Fang Chen cupped his hands toward the 13 people and then walked over to Dean Wuyun. Fang Chen told Dean Wuyun about his experience in the Sword Burial Prefecture. Dean Wuyun was incomparably shocked. "You went to the Sword Burial Prefecture?" asked Elder Han. Back when Fang Chen had been in the Five Elements Academy, Elder Han had thought that Fang Chen was the genius with the greatest hope of entering the Sword Burial Prefecture. But he hadn't expected Fang Chen to be in the Sword Burial Prefecture all these years. "Dean, I came this time to resolve the ancient Sword Continent's crisis. You should deal with the Five Elements Academy first," said Fang Chen. "Fang Chen, you're going to deal with the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture?" asked Dean Wuyun. Fang Chen didn't hide it and nodded in confirmation. "Be careful," said Dean Wuyun. After finishing his conversation with Dean Wuyun, Fang Chen led the 13 Mystic King Realm powerhouses and headed towards Tianju. "Fang Chen, what is the cultivation base of that outsider you spoke of?" asked the ox-nosed old daoist. "He should be at the low level of the profound King Realm," said Fang Chen. Back then, the difference between his cultivation base and the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture's cultivation base had been too great. He had been unable to sense his opponent's cultivation base. So he wasn't sure just how strong the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture's cultivation base was. "A low-level profound king wouldn't be able to fight back against the 14 of us," said daoist Tianhong. The 14 of them were very fast. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in the Tianju Prefecture. In a certain region of the Tianju Prefecture, there was a towering mountain peak that pierced the clouds. "Back then, I died there," muttered Fang Chen to himself. The closer they got to the mountain peak, the angrier Fang Chen became. The Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture was on this mountain peak. "The energy of the world is so dense. Could it be that the outsider is refining the realm core?" said Zongjian. "Let's go. No matter what, today was the day the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture died." Crash! The 14 of them soared into the sky and flew to the mountain peak that pierced the clouds. At this moment, the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture was sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak. His eyes were tightly closed and his body was filled with incomparably dense energy of the world. Above his head, there was a heart-like thing that seemed to be strongly rejecting him. "As expected, he's refining the realm core," said Zongjian. Bang! Fang Chen and the others landed on the mountain peak and punched out without hesitation. Fang Chen's attack directly interrupted the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture's refinement. The Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture that was refining the realm core suddenly opened his eyes. His face was filled with anger. He turned around and saw Fang Chen. You're not dead." The Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture was a bit surprised. He had clearly killed Fang Chen back then, so why would he appear here now? "You're not dead, so how could I die?" asked Fang Chen. The Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture sneered, "Stupid native, so what if you're not dead? You dared to interrupt my refinement of the realm core. Dying 10,000 times won't be enough. A low-level profound king martial artist has quite the tone." Suddenly, Yin Feng sneered. "Today, all of you will die," roared the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture. He had been refining the realm core for 4 years and had already reached the most critical moment. Now that he was interrupted by Fang Chen, he was furious. Seeing the realm core merge with the sky of the ancient Sword Continent, the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture emitted a terrifying killing intent. "With just your strength, you dare to speak such arrogant words." Apart from Fang Chen, the other 13 experts all unleashed their Mystic Emperor realm auras. Crash! A dense aura filled the entire peak, causing the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture's expression to change. Profound King Realm. At first, the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture hadn't noticed it. But now that they released their Profound King auras, he finally noticed. Even if the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture was conceited, he was still no match for 13 Profound Kings. "Could it be that you're also outsiders?" asked the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture. "What benefits did he give you?" "I can give you double," said the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture. The Demon Cloud Lian Ju said, "I am a member of the Demon Cloud family. If you give me some face, I, the Demon Cloud Lian Ju, will definitely repay you in the future." Hearing the Devil Cloud Lian Prefecture's words, the 13 experts sneered. "Idiot," said Zongjian. 4 years ago, My wife was killed by you. Even I almost died at your hands, said Fang Chen calmly. Today, 4 years later, I've come for revenge. Chapter 935. The demon cloud Lianju's face was ferocious and filled with rage. His eyes were scarlet. He had painstakingly come to the mortal continent and was about to become an overlord. But at such a crucial moment, he was actually killed by an ant that he could easily kill back then. All of you will die. The demon cloud Lianju went completely mad. When he discovered the 13 profound King Realm experts, he knew that he was no match for them with his own strength. Therefore, the demon cloud Lianju did not hesitate to take out his trump card. Crash! As soon as the demon cloud Lianju's voice fell, a fiery red starlight appeared in his hand. He then crushed the starlight without hesitation. Go to hell! Seeing this, Daoist Tianhong's face changed and shouted. He released a large amount of world energy. In the process of refining the world core, he absorbed a large amount of world energy and released it all at this moment. Rumble. At this moment, with the demon cloud Lianju as the center, a sea of fire instantly appeared. Within the sea of fire, there was a large amount of world energy. Form the formation. Zhong Jian shouted. The 13 of them instantly laid out a combined attack formation and then used their full strength to attack. Seeing this, Fang Chen took out the hidden star sword and used the third turn radiant sword technique. Whoosh! A radiant sword light containing a majestic aura shot out from the hidden star sword. It pierced through space and shot towards the demon cloud Lianju. Poochie! Before the power of the combined attack formation could reach the demon cloud Lianju, Fang Chen's swordlight took the lead. What sword technique is this? When Fang Chen's swordlight pierced towards the demon cloud Lianju, it suddenly exploded and countless ripples appeared in the sky. Crack! The demon cloud Lianju's body was directly blown apart. At the same time, the fiery red starlight in his hand also exploded. Just wait for the endless pursuit of the demon cloud family. The demon cloud Lianju was furious and roared loudly. When the demon cloud Lianju's voice fell, a strange light shot out from the sea of fire. Caught off guard, it directly shot into Fang Chen's forehead. Fang Chen immediately checked his body and found nothing out of the ordinary. Fang Chen. The 13 profound King Realm experts were all shocked. The strength that Fang Chen just now had already surpassed the combined strength of the 13 of them. He was too strong. With this kind of combat strength, he could easily kill low-level profound King Realm cultivators. Thinking of this, they were shocked by Fang's potential to the demon cloud Lianju's soul to demon cloud Lianju. Among the people present, only Lu Jingyun noticed that something was wrong with Fang Chen. To Lian Chen to. I to Li. Fang. To the. Mark. After a long time, Fang Chen opened his eyes. He shook his head. This mark is a bit special. I can't erase it for the time being. It should be some kind of tracking mark. Once you go to the outer universe, you will be sensed by the demon cloud family. Windyin said. But now that you are in the mortal world, you don't have to be afraid of the demon cloud family. Find a way to erase the mark and go to the outer universe. Zhong Jian said. Fang Chen nodded. Just as he was about to leave, he suddenly found the demon cloud Lianju's interspatial ring. Interspatial ring. Fang Chen waved his hand and put away the demon cloud Lianju's interspatial ring. It's done. Fang Chen said. Brother Fang. At this moment, Sichu Hong and Dugu Yun spoke. Brother Fang, the two of us also came from the other 2 continents of the Azure Cloud domain. Our homeworld is also in great danger. Sichu Hong said. Hearing this, Fang Chen instantly understood. Yunzi continent, Shengxian continent. Fang Chen asked. Sichu Hong and Dugu Yun nodded. Let's go together. Fang Chen said. It would be difficult for Sichu Hong and Dugu Yun to kill the outer universe guests with their strength alone. While Fang Chen and the others were heading to the other 2 continents, in a mysterious place in the outer universe. This place was heavily guarded and the mansion was very luxurious. Not good, young Master Lianju's life tablet has shattered. Suddenly, a guard shouted in horror. Then, the entire mansion was in complete chaos. All the martial artists were filled with fear. Young Master Lian Ju's life tablet had shattered. The patriarch would definitely be furious. The patriarch's fury was too terrifying. Sure enough, in less than a minute, a furious voice came from the Demon Cloud family. Find the murderer at all costs. Who dares to kill my Demon Cloud family's people? There is no place for him in this world. On this day, the Demon Cloud family was shaken. The young master of the Demon Cloud family, Demon Cloud Lianju, had been killed. The Demon Cloud family was furious. All the forces in this area were on tenterhooks, afraid of offending the Demon Cloud family. Of course, Fang Chen and the others in the Qingyun domain didn't know. Among the 3 outer universe guests, Demon Cloud Lianju was the strongest. The other 2 were slightly weaker. After arriving at the Yunzi continent, before Fang Chen could do anything, the outer universe guests were killed by Sichu Hong and Du Guyun. Then, they came to the Shengxian continent and easily resolved the crisis. Now, the crisis of the 3 continents was resolved. And for Fang Chen, it was the first time he truly understood the Qingyun domain. After resolving the mundane matters, the other mystic kings left and returned to the Burial Sword continent. Sichu Hong, Du Guyun, and Fang Chen stayed in the Qingyun domain to deal with things. Farewell. Fang Chen cupped his hands together. With a flash, he disappeared into the sky. A few days later, Fang Chen returned to the ancient Sword continent. News of Demon Cloud Lianju's death had already spread. Fang Chen's name resounded through the sky. All the martial artists in the ancient Sword continent respected Fang Chen as their leader. Even the quasi-kings of the Tianju and Demon continent paid a personal visit to Fang Chen, wanting to submit to him. The entire ancient Sword continent respected Fang Chen as their king. And Fang Chen didn't seem to be willing to deal with mundane matters. However, he was worried that another crisis would occur after he left. Then, he took the lead and established the Ancient Sword Alliance. All the forces in the 3 continents formed an alliance to resist the foreign invaders. After the Ancient Sword Alliance was established, everyone elected Fang Chen as the alliance leader. The latter didn't refuse. After becoming the alliance leader, Fang Chen made Ding Wuyun the vice leader to manage all the affairs of the Ancient Sword Alliance. No one in the Ancient Sword Alliance dared to disobey Fang Chen's orders. After all, Fang Chen's strength was unprecedented. No one could stop him. After doing all this, Fang Chen prepared to return to the Divine Wind Nation. Nanling Continent, outside a mountain range. Fang Chen stood quietly with a smile on his face. How many years has it been? I can finally regain my human form, Fang Chen muttered to himself. Ancestor Bronze was also very excited. After his death, his disciple was framed and turned into a big turtle. Now, he could finally regain his human form. Although Fang Chen hadn't reached the Mystic King realm, he had the strength of the Mystic King realm. It was very easy for him to save Ancestor Bronze's disciple. Coming to the depths of the mountain range, the big turtle woke up from its deep sleep. Brother Turtle, I'm here to save you. After Fang Chen finished speaking, his palm shook and began to save the big turtle. 6 hours later, the big turtle turned into a stream of light and transformed into a human form. Thank you. After being a turtle for 1,000 years, he was finally able to regain his human form. He was incomparably excited. Brat, who was it that framed you back then? Ancestor Bronze's voice rang out. His voice was filled with fury. Master, back then. He told Ancestor Bronze that the person who had framed him back then had long since died. Ancestor Bronze chatted with his disciple for a while before following Fang Chen back to the Divine Wind Nation. I'm finally back. The last time he had come back was when he had married Star and Moon. But this time, he came back alone. Looking down at the Divine Wind Nation, Fang Chen was filled with melancholy. Chapter 936. Heavenly Wind Nation, Fang Family. A long time ago, the Fang family had already been the #1 family in the Heavenly Wind Nation. Anyone who mentioned the Fang family would immediately think of the strongest genius of the Fang family's younger generation, Fang Chen. Now that Fang Chen had returned to the Fang family, he sighed. It had been a long time since he had left the Heavenly Wind Nation. His family's power had grown stronger and stronger. Thanks to the resources Fang Chen had left behind, some of the younger generation's disciples had already reached the Qi transformation realm. Of course, that was nothing to a profound king. Fang Chen stood in the sky of the heavenly wind nation, looking down at the heavenly wind nation. His mind was filled with thoughts. On the path of the martial path, as long as you couldn't reach the legendary realm of immortality, you would eventually die. A mortal's lifespan was even shorter. They could only live for 100 years. If you can't transcend heaven and earth, you'll eventually become a pile of dirt, muttered Fang Chen to himself. He thought of his father, his brothers, and sisters. After a long time, Fang Chen no longer thought about it. His figure flickered, and he landed outside the Fang family's residence. With Fang Chen's current cultivation base, if he didn't want to be discovered, no one would be able to discover Fang Chen. Noiselessly entering the residence, Fang Chen saw a familiar scene. He smiled. "Fang Yao, you're bullying me." Just as Fang Chen was looking around, an angry voice rang out. With a single thought, Fang Chen's body merged into the void. In the blink of an eye, he saw two children of 3 or 4 years old. One was a woman, and the other was a man. The woman was wearing azure robes. She had her hands on her hips and a smile on her face. Across from her was a man. He was very angry. He wasn't Fang Yao's match, but she had bullied him time and time again. "Fang Yu, who told you not to cultivate properly?" said the girl called Fang Yao. "Mph, you're bullying me. I'm going to tell Dad." After saying that, the boy angrily left. Not long after, Fang Chen discovered the child's father. A smile appeared on his face. The white-robed Fang Sheng's smile grew even wider when he saw the child. Then Fang Sheng hugged Fang Yu. "You who bullied you?" "Dad, Fang Yao always bullies me because she's stronger than me." "You have to get justice for your son," said Fang Yu unhappily. Fang Sheng laughed heartily. Fang Yao and Fang Yu were his children. They were twins. Fang Yao was the eldest, while Fang Yu was the second. However, Fang Yu had always refused to admit that Fang Yao was his sister and would often call her by her full name. When Fang Yao was born, her talent was extraordinary and she was recognized as a cultivation genius. As for Fang Yu, his cultivation talent was much worse. Because Fang Yu called Fang Yao by her full name, Fang Yao kept teasing Fang Yu. You have to cultivate properly. Remember your uncle from back then." Fang Sheng placed Fang Yu on the ground. "Dad, you've already told me about Uncle Fang Chen's achievements no less than 10,000 times. I'm already tired of hearing them," interrupted Fang Yu. "That's right, Dad. Is Uncle Fang Chen really that legendary? Everyone who hears Uncle Fang Chen's name is filled with respect. I'm also very curious as to what kind of person Uncle Fang Chen is." At this moment, Fang Yao appeared. Her eyes were shining brightly as she spoke with a smile. "Dad, when will Uncle Fang Chen return?" Fang Chen's younger generation was now all married and had children. From the day they were born, they had been hearing about Fang Chen's legends every day. As for Fang Chen himself, they had never seen him before. "Your Uncle Fang Chen is a 1-in-a-million genius. You'll know when you see him." Hearing his children's words, Fang Sheng's face turned blank for a moment before he replied. "But from the day I was born until now, I've never seen Uncle Fang Chen," continued Fang Yao. Fang Chen, who was hiding in the void, immediately revealed himself after hearing Fang Yao's words. "You can see him now," said Fang Chen. Hearing this, Fang Yu and Fang Yao turned to look at Fang Chen. They were a bit surprised and asked, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Fang Yao and Fang Yu knew every single member of the Fang family. But they had never seen this person before. "Chen Zi." The instant he saw Fang Chen appear, Fang Sheng was dumbfounded. Only after a long while did he recover from his shock. He immediately rushed over to Fang Chen and gave him a bear hug. "Chen Zi, you're back. Ha ha ha." Fang Yao and Fang Yu had never seen their father so happy before. "Cousin Fang Chen, in just a few years, you're already a father." Fang Chen grinned. Fang Sheng removed his arms from Fang Chen's body and shouted, "You two little brats, quickly come over here." Fang Yao and Fang Yu walked over and asked, "Father, just who is he?" Why are you so happy to see him? Haven't you always wanted to see Uncle Fang Chen? Asked Fang Sheng. Could it be that his uncle Fang Chen? Fang Yarrow was smart and quick-witted. She immediately figured it out. Fang Sheng nodded. Come and greet Uncle Fang Chen. Hearing that this person was Fang Chen, the two of them were a bit shocked. Then, the two of them walked up to Fang Chen with a smile. Are you Uncle Fang Chen? Asked Fang Yu. Uncle Fang Chen, I heard from my father that you're very strong, said Fang Yao. Fang Chen intimately stroked the foreheads of the two children. Crash. Fang Chen flicked his wrist, and 2 medicinal pills appeared in his hand. He handed them to the two of them. I came back in a hurry, so I didn't bring much. These 2 medicinal pills are for you, said Fang Chen. Many thanks, Uncle Fang Chen. News of Fang Chen's return was only known to the upper echelons of the Fang family. No one else knew. Fang Chen also didn't want to be too high-profile. This time, he had left behind a large amount of wealth for the Fang family to develop. Of course, the development Fang Chen was referring to was the development of their martial power. As for territory, there was no need to occupy it. As long as Fang Chen wanted to, the entire ancient sword continent would belong to the Fang family. The current Fang Chen hadn't reached the point where he could change the cultivation base of everyone in the Fang family. Their cultivation base could only depend on themselves. Fang Chen could only provide them with some external items. After 10 days in the Fang family, Fang Chen secretly set up a peak Dao level formation. This formation wouldn't appear under normal circumstances. It would only be activated when the Fang family was in danger. With this formation, even a true martial realm expert wouldn't be able to destroy the Fang family, unless it was a mystic king realm expert. After setting up the formation, Fang Chen left behind some cultivation techniques. Most of these cultivation techniques were ones that he had practiced before. Finally, after reuniting with his family, he left the Shengfeng country. After leaving behind some trump cards in the Fang family, Fang Chen returned to the Five Elements Academy. In just a month, the Ancient Sword Alliance had begun to take shape. Under the management of Dean Wuyun, the Ancient Sword Alliance was in order. Fang Chen, you're back. Dean Wuyun led a few true martial realm experts to welcome Fang Chen. Fang Chen nodded to everyone, and his gaze finally fell on Zhong Jingtao. Fang Chen, the gap between us is getting bigger and bigger. Zhong Jingtao's face was filled with helplessness. Senior brother Zhong, the path of martial arts is to go against the heavens. If you don't even have confidence in yourself, then what right do you have to go against the heavens? Fang Chen said slowly. Buzz. Fang Chen's words shook Zhong Jingtao's mind. Back then, he was the same as Fang Chen. They were both young geniuses of the ancient sword continent. But now, Fang Chen was already the strongest person in the ancient sword continent, and he was still in the true martial realm. As time passed, Zhong Jingtao's confidence grew less and less. But now, after hearing Fang Chen's words, it was as if he had been enlightened. Suddenly, spiritual energy surged from Zhong Jingtao's body. He entered a state of enlightenment. Ha ha ha, he's enlightened. Dean Wuyun and the others laughed happily. Zhong Jingtao was enlightened, and the others personally stood guard for him. As for Fang Chen, after exchanging a few simple words with Dean Wuyun, he arrived before Sky Pass. Now, I'm probably qualified to completely control the Five Elements Peak, Fang Chen said to himself. Then, Fang Chen's figure flashed and entered the Sky Pass. Chapter 937. The heaven-piercing peak was a priceless treasure. Although Fang Chen had passed, he hadn't been able to completely control it. And now, Fang Chen had once again stepped into the heaven-piercing peak. Master! The artifact spirit and the demi-beast man instantly appeared and cupped their hands towards Fang Chen. As soon as Fang Chen entered the heaven-piercing peak, he noticed them. I want to completely refine the heaven-piercing peak, said Fang Chen. Master, you? The demi-beast man asked in surprise. Master, have you reached the profound king realm? Fang Chen nodded. Although I haven't reached the profound king realm, I'm confident I can completely refine the heaven-piercing peak. Hearing Fang Chen's words, the demi-beast man and the artifact spirit were both shocked. In just a few years, Their master's strength had risen from the condensing reality realm to his current level. Under the gaze of the demi-beast man and the artifact spirit, Fang Chen began to refine the heaven-piercing peak. Hiss. Fang Chen had already refined it once before. Now that he was stronger, refining it was much easier. In just 15 minutes, Fang Chen had completely refined the heaven-piercing peak. At this time, Fang Chen had truly taken control of the heaven-piercing peak. As expected, it's a big deal. Fang Chen couldn't help sighing. The heaven-piercing peak was a space of its own. Countless martial artists lived here. It was just like a mortal world. It was just that there weren't as many people here as there were in the mortal world. Master, congratulations on taking control of the heaven-piercing peak. The artifact spirit and the demi-beast man were full of smiles. Fang Chen taking control of the heaven-piercing peak meant that he could take it with him and leave this place. They hadn't left this place in a long time. With the heaven-piercing peak in control, Fang Chen could easily scan the entire space with a single thought. Within the heaven-piercing peak, there was a cultivation technique pavilion, a weapon pavilion, and a secret technique pavilion. What a fortune, said Fang Chen. Master, now that you've taken control of the heaven-piercing peak, do you want to take it with you? Asked the artifact spirit. The beast man also looked at Fang Chen anxiously. Fang Chen nodded. The half-beast man and the artifact spirit laughed excitedly. After a long while, the artifact spirit stopped laughing and said to Fang Chen, Master, before the old master passed away, he left behind 2 secret techniques. He said that only by completely controlling the Heaven's Link Peak can one obtain these 2 secret techniques. Secret technique. Fang Chen's soul spread out, instantly enveloping the entire space of Tongtian Peak. Then, he discovered a strange place. There was a vine leaf here. It was different from the 5 checkpoints of the heaven-connecting peak. Fang Chen discovered that when the spiritual energy approached this vine leaf, it actually turned into a strange aura. Is the secret technique here? Fang Chen wondered. With a thought, he arrived at the vine leaf. While in midair, the artifact spirit appeared. Master, the 2 secret techniques are on this vine leaf. However, with Master's current cultivation, you can only cultivate one of them, said the artifact spirit. Fang Chen nodded. His soul had already discovered the 2 secret techniques on this vine leaf. On the vine leaf, there were 2 very small balls of light. Each ball of light represented a secret technique. Void Meteor Annihilation. Fang Chen's eyes were like torches as he looked at one of the balls of light. On this ball of light, there were 5 large words faintly appearing. This secret technique was called Void Meteor Annihilation. Master, this Void Meteor Annihilation is a very domineering technique. Even in the outer universe, countless warriors would fight over it. The artifact spirit explained, Master has the true meaning of the void, so you are the best candidate to cultivate this technique. After successfully cultivating the Void Meteor Annihilation, one blow can destroy a part of the void. Fang Chen's heart trembled when he heard this. The power of the Void Meteor Annihilation was many times stronger than that of the Golden Light Dragon slaying. It seems that these 2 secret techniques are the lifelong efforts of the master of the Tongtian Peak. Then, Fang Chen looked at the other ball of light. Star Sky Art. Just by hearing the name of this technique, one could feel that it was unusual. Star Sky Art. Fang Chen muttered to himself. His intuition told him that this secret technique must be extraordinary. Master, this Star Sky Art is the master's unique technique. Master is also famous because of this secret technique, said the artifact spirit. If you want to cultivate the Star Sky Art, you must cultivate the Void Meteor Annihilation to the extreme. After a brief understanding, Fang Chen knew that the power of the Star Sky Art was much stronger than that of the Void Meteor Annihilation. When the Star Sky Art was cultivated to a certain level, one could communicate with the stars in the universe and absorb the power of the stars to strengthen oneself. Such a perverted method was truly shocking. However, the cultivation requirements of the celestial heavenly skill were slightly higher. Right now, Fang Chen was still unable to cultivate it. Biting off more than you can chew, said Fang Chen inwardly. With a thought, Fang Chen grabbed the ball of light of the Void Meteor Annihilation and put it into his mind. At this time, the artifact spirit continued, Master, with your talent, if you cultivate the void meteor annihilation, you'll at least have the power to protect yourself in the outer realms. Just the power to protect himself? Fang Chen wondered. Right, do you know about the world core of the mortal world? Asked Fang Chen suddenly. Master, could it be that you want to become the overlord and refine the world core? Asked the artifact spirit. Fang Chen nodded but didn't say anything. Master, in the vast universe, there are countless mortal worlds. Each mortal world has a world core. The mortal world relies on the world core to operate. As long as you can refine the world core, you'll become the overlord of a mortal world, said the artifact spirit. What are the benefits of becoming an overlord? Asked Fang Chen. Once you become an overlord, it means the mortal world has a master. Outsiders won't be able to enter unless they obtain the overlord's approval, said the artifact spirit. Why is that? Fang Chen didn't understand. The realm core is the core of a mortal world. Once it is refined, the mortal world will become an object with an owner, and the mortal world will be enveloped by the natural laws. This is the universe's protection for the mortal world, the artifact spirit explained. If you don't have the master's approval, you won't be able to force your way in, continued the artifact spirit. Hearing the artifact spirit's explanation, Fang Chen finally understood. The laws were supreme existences that reigned above all martial artists. Under the protection of the laws, even peak experts were unable to enter the mortal world. The reason the Heavenspan Peak was able to reach the ancient Sword Continent was because the ancient Sword Continent's world core hadn't been refined, said Fang Chen. That is indeed the case, the artifact spirit said. Master, if you refine the world core, it'll be beneficial to your cultivation. Beneficial? Once you refine the world core, you'll obtain the faith energy of all the continent's martial artists. Faith energy was a kind of illusory energy, but it was incomparably powerful. Almost all of the outerverse major powers would obtain an endless amount of faith energy. A single person's faith power was very weak, but millions or even hundreds of millions of faith power were very majestic and endless. That faith energy would all enter the world core. Refining the world core meant that he would be able to obtain that enormous amount of faith energy. Faith energy can temper the soul? Asked Fang Chen. The artifact spirit nodded. Faith energy has many uses, but the most obvious is tempering the soul. That's the law of the heavenly Taoes that balances the universe's various races. It was much easier for a mortal world's martial artist to refine a world core than for an outsider. Refining the heart of the realm meant that he had unlocked a cheat in his cultivation. After hearing the artifact spirit's words, Fang Chen's heart began to stir. After a short discussion, Fang Chen put away the Heavenspan Peak and left the Heavens Pass, returning to the Five Elements Academy. The Heavenspan Peak had disappeared, but the Heavens Pass hadn't changed at all. No one knew that the Heavens Pass was no longer the Heavens Pass of the past. The Heavenspan Peak had shrunk until it was the size of a palm and was hidden in Fang Chen's spatial ring. Fang Chen took a step forward and arrived at the Five Elements Peak's main peak. At this time, Zhong Jingtao and the others appeared. Fang Chen immediately saw that Zhong Jingtao's cultivation had broken through. Fang Chen, many thanks. Zhong Jingtao cupped his hands in thanks. If he hadn't been enlightened by Fang Chen, perhaps he wouldn't have been so confident in himself. But now, he wasn't just confident, he was extremely confident. Chapter 938. The establishment of the Ancient Sword Alliance had completely stabilized the Ancient Sword Continent. Seeing that the Ancient Sword Continent was on the right track, Fang Chen was relieved. After all, the Ancient Sword Continent was his hometown, where his clansmen lived. Standing on the main peak of the Five Elements Peak, Fang Chen looked down at the vast land and sighed. 4 years ago, he was killed by the Devil Cloud Lian state and entered the Sword Burial state by chance. 4 years later, he returned and not only resolved the Ancient Sword Continent's crisis, but he also killed the Devil Cloud Lian state. Before leaving the Ancient Sword Continent, Fang Chen had one more thing to do. That was to refine the heart of the realm. Although his cultivation hadn't reached the Mystic King realm, he wanted to try refining the heart of the realm. On this day, Fang Chen left the Five Elements continent and came to the Sky continent. He flew to the peak where the Devil Cloud Lian State had refined the heart of the realm. "Let's do it here," Fang Chen muttered to himself. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began refining the heart of the realm. In the Devil Cloud Lian State's interspatial ring, Fang Chen found a way to refine the heart of the realm. The heart of the realm was hidden in the sky of the mortal continent. If he wanted to refine it, he had to find it and lure it out. Sitting down cross-legged, Fang Chen's body surged with dense spirit energy. Fang Chen's soul ejected and went to the sky, wanting to communicate with the heart of the realm. The heart of the realm. Fang Chen saw the heart of the realm at a glance. "Recognize me as your master and I can protect the ancient sword continent," Fang Chen said. He was communicating with the heart of the realm. In the sky, there was a bright light. This was the heart of the realm. Around the heart of the realm were complex rules. These were the rules that the heavenly Tao had given to the heart of the realm. The ancient sword continent could only exist if the heart of the realm operated normally. Fang Chen carefully observed the heart of the realm and entered a state of enlightenment. The heart of the realm contained countless different types of energy. First was the 5 elements energy. The formation of a world required the 5 elements energy as the foundation, and then other types of energy. The power of the 5 elements. Fang Chen thought to himself. The 5 elemental powers were metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. They were the polar opposites of each other. In the heart of the world, the 5 types of energy fused together to support the entire world. Is this how the laws of the ancient sword continent operate? Fang Chen, who was in a state of epiphany, began to comprehend the power of the 5 elements. Because he possessed the 5 elements' intent, it was very easy for him to comprehend them. Suddenly, Fang Chen awoke from his epiphany. The power of the 5 elements surrounded him. It really is worthy of being the world core. Just looking at it can give me such an accomplishment. Fang Chen was shaken. No wonder that profound monarch realm outsider was willing to pay any price to refine the realm heart. After comprehending the power of the 5 elements, Fang Chen continued to comprehend. He had discovered the power of darkness and the power of light. Darkness and light. These 2 opposing forces were not too difficult for Fang Chen. That was because he possessed the true meaning of darkness. The 3 Revolution Radiant Sword Art contained the aura of light. However, his comprehension speed had greatly decreased. It took him a full 3 days to comprehend it. At this time, Fang Chen sensed that the realm heart's repulsive force had weakened a bit. It really is useful. If he tried to forcibly refine the realm heart, the repulsive force would be extremely strong. This was Fang Chen's method of progressing step by step. Let's continue. Fang Chen's face was filled with smiles as he continued to comprehend. After 3 months, the realm heart's repulsive force towards Fang Chen had weakened by more than half. At this time, Fang Chen sensed that he was about to step into the profound king realm. As long as he found the right opportunity, he would be able to step into the legendary realm. He continued to comprehend. Fang Chen closed his eyes. The power of space and time appeared in his mind. These 2 types of energy were the 2 most important types of energy used to construct a world. They were also the most difficult to comprehend. Fortunately, Fang Chen possessed the true meaning of space and time. This was good news. Within the dome of the sky, the realm heart surged with the power of space and time. Once the 2 types of energy shot out from the realm heart, they directly merged with the ancient sword continent. As time passed, Fang Chen's comprehension of the true meaning of space and time became deeper and deeper. And he also deeply understood the ancient sword continent's operation. He sat there for 3 years. Fang Chen was like a statue, quietly sitting on a mountain peak, comprehending the power of space and time. 5 elements province, 5 elements peak. Dean Wuyun and the rest had anxious looks all over their faces. Fang Chen disappeared for 3 years. Where did he go? Asked Elder Han worriedly. Dean, is Fang Chen in seclusion at the 5 Elements Academy? Asked the bloody spearman. At the beginning, no one had paid attention to Fang Chen's disappearance. But now that he had disappeared for 3 years, they finally realized that something wasn't right. During these 3 years, Dean Wuyun had mobilized all the power of the Ancient Sword Alliance to search for Fang Chen. But alas, they hadn't been able to find any trace of Fang Chen. Today, the upper echelons of the Five Elements Academy had gathered to discuss how to find Fang Chen. With Fang Chen's current strength, he shouldn't be in any danger on the Ancient Sword Continent, said the Bone Weapon Sagemaster. How strange. The Ancient Sword Continent is only so big. Even with all the power of the Ancient Sword Alliance, we still can't find him, said Sagemaster Danqing. Hearing their words, a strange glint flashed across Dean Wuyun's eyes. Do you remember why the Devil Cloud Lian province came to the Ancient Sword Continent? Hearing Dean Wuyun's words, everyone looked at him. It seems they want to refine the Ancient Sword Continent, said Elder Han uncertainly. Dean Wuyun nodded. In these 3 years, we've searched all over the Ancient Sword Continent. The only place we didn't go was that mountain peak that pierced the clouds. Could it be that Fang Chen also wants to refine the Ancient Sword Continent? The Bloody Spear Man was flabbergasted. Just at this moment, everyone's expressions changed. They sensed that the spiritual qi in the air had suddenly become incomparably sparse. What's going on? Sagemaster Dan Yun's expression changed. The spiritual qi in the air has become incomparably sparse. What's going on? They were all true martial experts. Their spiritual senses were extremely sharp. The spiritual qi had become sparse. This matter was incomparably serious. Let's go take a look. With Dean Wuyun at the lead, they all rose into the air above the Five Elements Academy. At this time, their expressions became even more gloomy. The spiritual qi in the entire Five Elements province has become much sparser. What's going on? Asked Elder Han. On the mortal continent, martial artists relied on spiritual qi to survive. Once the spiritual qi became sparse, martial artists like them wouldn't be able to survive. This was indeed an extremely serious problem. Could it be a crisis that affects the entire Ancient Sword Continent? Asked Sagemaster Danqing. Let's go to the Tianju. Dean Wuyun's expression was gloomy. In the next instant, everyone quickly left the Five Elements province and headed to the Tianju. At the same time, the experts of the Tianju and Demon continents also sensed this change. They were extremely anxious. Just what had happened? Why had the spiritual qi become so sparse? When Dean Wuyun and the others arrived in the Tianju, the experts of the other 2 continents also arrived. The 2 quasi-kings stared at the mountain peak that pierced the clouds. Their expressions were grave and their eyes were filled with confusion. All the spiritual qi in the entire Ancient Sword Continent has gathered on this mountain peak, said the quasi-king of the Tianju. Just what's going on? Asked the quasi-king of the Demon continent. Let's go up and take a look, said Dean Wuyun. Everyone nodded and flew up the mountain peak. However, before they could reach the peak of the mountain, something unbelievable happened. Rumble, a deafening sound resounded through the sky. In the next instant, a boundless aura surged out of the mountain peak and covered the entire Ancient Sword Continent. The Ancient Sword Continent's experts stared at this scene in disbelief. In the blink of an eye, the spiritual qi in the air had become at least 10 times denser than before. The spiritual qi is so dense, cried the 3 quasi-kings excitedly. Chapter 939. The experts of the 3 prefectures stopped in their tracks, their hearts filled with shock. They had lived for such a long time, but they had never seen such boundless spiritual energy. Ha ha ha, the spiritual energy is so abundant. Could it be that our Ancient Sword Continent is about to rise? A cultivator laughed loudly. Spiritual energy was the foundation of a cultivator's cultivation. Without spiritual energy, it was impossible to imagine what the cultivators of the Ancient Sword Continent would become. It was said that there had been a rumor that some continents had been damaged by a great battle between experts, causing the spiritual energy to dissipate. Over time, all the spiritual energy in the continent had dissipated, and the continent had become incomparably barren. In the end, the continent had been abandoned. Originally, they were still worried that the spiritual energy would become thin, and the continent would be in danger. But now, the spiritual energy had suddenly become more than 10 times denser. At the same time, All the cultivators of the ancient sword continent were celebrating. At this time, on a mountain peak that pierced through the clouds, Fang Chen, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes. If someone was here, they would definitely discover that Fang Chen's cultivation had already crossed the final hurdle and stepped into the Mystic King realm. Mystic King realm. A trace of a smile appeared on Fang Chen's face. His every move was able to cause the surrounding heaven and earth power to circulate. Fang Chen could sense every corner of the ancient sword continent with just a thought. This was the overlord of the mortal world. I didn't expect it to take 3 years. Fang Chen sighed in his heart. The process of refining the realm core was also a process of transformation. During this process, Fang Chen's cultivation had stepped into the Mystic King realm, and his spirit had also undergone a great transformation. Most importantly, the Golden Heart had become even more powerful after fusing with the realm core's power. Traces of light circulated around Fang Chen's body. In an instant, Fang Chen stood up. The spiritual energy has become more than 10 times denser. When Fang Chen had refined the world core, he had already understood. Once the mortal world had an overlord, the realm core would gradually evolve. The most obvious thing was that the spiritual qi on the mortal continent would gradually become denser. As the lord of the mortal continent, Fang Chen could control the entire ancient sword continent as he pleased. Even though he had only just entered the Mystic King realm. However, even if he encountered a mid-level profound King realm martial artist, or even a high-level profound King realm martial artist, he was still fearless. This was the strength of the overlords of the mortal world. Of course, he had to be in the ancient sword continent. If they were in the outer realm or somewhere else, with Fang Chen's strength, he would at most be able to contend against a mid-level Mystic King realm martial practitioner. As for high-level Mystic King realm martial artists, they couldn't resist at all. Only by being on the ancient sword continent could one mobilize the natural powers of the ancient sword continent to attack the enemy. While Fang Chen was deep in thought, many of the ancient sword alliance's upper echelons arrived at the mountain peak. Alliance head, why are you here? Cried one of Tianzhou's quasi-kings. Alliance head, what happened just now? The quasi-king from the demon province asked. Only Dean Wuyun noticed Fang Chen's aura. Fang Chen, you've broken through to the Mystic King realm. Only after hearing Dean Wuyun's words did the others notice this. Their faces were filled with excited smiles. With just a true martial realm cultivation, he could easily annihilate the Demon Cloud province. Now that he had stepped into the Mystic King realm, just how strong was he? Fang Chen nodded when he heard this. I refined the realm core and became the overlord of the ancient sword continent. Fang Chen didn't hide anything. After all, this kind of thing would be known sooner or later. They didn't know much about the world heart, but with a flick of Fang Chen's wrist, information was transmitted into their minds. A moment later, the true martial realm's upper echelons were filled with shock. Many people didn't dare to believe that Fang Chen had become the overlord of the mortal world. Overlord. It was unknown who called out, but the other martial artists all followed suit. From the Qi refinement realm to the Mystic King realm in less than 15 years, Fang Chen's growth was a genuine legend. After becoming the overlord, Fang Chen's insight had increased, and his comprehension had deepened. Although he had become the ancient sword continent's strongest expert, it wasn't much in the outer realms. In the outer realms where experts were as common as the clouds, the Mystic King realm was just a low level of power. Everyone, you can return. Fang Chen waved his hand. After becoming the overlord of the mortal world, Fang Chen felt his soul rapidly growing. Fang Chen, I really didn't dare imagine that you would become the overlord. The bronze ancestor's voice entered Fang Chen's ears. His voice was filled with disbelief and excitement. Fang Chen reaching the Mystic King realm meant that he had a chance of being revived. Ancestor, I was just about to look for you. Fang Chen said, Ancestor, with my current strength, I should be able to reconstruct your body. Pass me the information of your life. After returning to the Five Elements province, Fang Chen communicated with Ancestor Bronze. Reviving a Mystic King realm expert seemed unattainable in the past. But for the current Fang Chen, it wasn't that difficult. This was because he wasn't an ordinary Mystic King realm expert, but the overlord of the mortal continent. Fang Chen spent a month searching the entire ancient sword continent and found all the materials to reconstruct his body. He didn't know before, but after becoming the overlord, Fang Chen discovered many mysterious places in the ancient sword continent. Many of these places were unknown to the outside world. There were no secrets in the ancient sword continent in front of Fang Chen. After a full month, the materials were finally prepared. At this time, he could finally begin to reconstruct Ancestor Bronze's body. Fang Chen found a secluded place and began to reconstruct his body. "Ancestor, can your remnant will come out?" asked Fang Chen. Ancestor Bronze's remnant will came out of Fang Chen's mind. It floated in the air, its aura a bit weak. "Repair the soul," roared Fang Chen. With a flick of his wrist, countless rays of light flashed around him and poured into Ancestor Bronze's remnant will. Hiss! Ancestor Bronze's remnant will was being repaired at a speed visible to the naked eye. Fang Chen was using the world core to repair Ancestor Bronze's remnant will. Ancestor Bronze was a native of the ancient sword continent. Since birth, his soul had been nourished by the world core. With the world core's repair, Ancestor Bronze's remnant will was repaired in the blink of an eye. Ha ha ha. This was the happiest Ancestor Bronze had been in all these years. When he had died, he had never imagined that he would be revived one day. Moreover, the world core had personally repaired his soul. In this short period of time, Ancestor Bronze discovered that not only had his soul been repaired, but it had also surpassed when he was alive and reached the peak. Seeing this, Fang Chen knew that the time had come. Reconstruct the body. Fang Chen mobilized the power of heaven and earth, and with the help of the world core, he began to reconstruct his body. The natives of the ancient sword continent were originally restricted by the laws. As the overlord of the ancient sword continent, Fang Chen could control any changes in the ancient sword continent. Using the power of the laws to reconstruct a martial artist's body was incomparably easy. Hiss! A fleshly body slowly appeared. Ancestor Bronze was already overjoyed. 6 hours later, a complete physical body appeared. Fang Chen's forehead was covered in sweat. After continuously using the world core for 6 hours, his body was very weak. Fang Chen gritted his teeth and said, "There's still one last step." In the next moment, his wrist shook, and the world core began to spin at high speed. Then, it directly enveloped Ancestor Bronze's soul and drilled into the mind of this complete body. Then, a law descended from the sky and baptized Ancestor Bronze. Under the baptism of the law, his soul and body were completely merged. At this moment, Ancestor Bronze was perfectly resurrected. Ha ha ha, I'm resurrected. Ancestor Bronze's face was full of smiles. He was full of energy, and his strength was stronger than before he died. Especially his soul, which had been repaired by the world core, was abnormally strong. Ancestor. Fang Chen looked at Ancestor Bronze and smiled. "Fang Chen, you are my benefactor." Ancestor Bronze grinned. Chapter 940. Ancestor Bronze was very excited to be resurrected. He was very glad that his remnant consciousness had met Fang Chen. "Fang Chen, thank you." Ancestor Bronze's words were full of gratitude. Then, Ancestor Bronze roared into the sky and released all the pent-up emotions that had been suppressed for countless years. Due to the reconstruction of his body, Ancestor Bronze's cultivation was only at the first level of the Mystic King realm. Even so, he was still considered one of the strongest in the world. After venting for a long time, Ancestor Bronze finally calmed down. Looking down at the entire ancient sword continent, he couldn't help but sigh. When he was at his peak, the ancient sword continent was full of powerhouses. Now, there were only a few Mystic King realm powerhouses. "Ancestor, let's go back," Fang Chen said. Ancestor Bronze nodded and then turned around to leave with Fang Chen. Following behind Fang Chen, Ancestor Bronze was extremely excited. Back then, he had made the right choice. The once immature youth had grown to such a level. Overlord of the mortal continent. This was something that Ancestor Bronze didn't even dare to think about before. After a while, the two returned to the Five Elements Academy. The crisis of the ancient sword continent had been resolved. Fang Chen had also stayed on the ancient sword continent for a long time. It was time to leave. After refining the heart of the realm and becoming the overlord of the mortal continent, Fang Chen deeply understood the infinity of the universe. With his current strength, he could be considered invincible on the mortal continent. However, it was nothing to the Outerverse. He wanted to rush out of the Qingyun domain and step into the legendary Outerverse. He wanted to pursue the peak of martial arts and find his mother and wife. Master. After returning to the Five Elements Academy, Ancestor Bronze's appearance attracted the attention of Dean Wuyun and the others. Their faces were filled with surprise. This mystic King Realm powerhouse was very unfamiliar. Could he also be from the Burial Sword Prefecture? Before Dean Wuyun and the others could ask, a figure flashed and hurriedly arrived in front of Ancestor Bronze. Then, he knelt on the ground and sobbed. Get up. After experiencing life and death, old Ancestor Bronze understood the relationship between master and disciple even more. While old Ancestor Bronze was conversing with his disciples, Fang Chen introduced him to Dean Wuyun and the others. Dean, this is old Ancestor Bronze from 10,000 years ago. He perished for some reason and was recently revived by me using the world core. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Firstly, they were amazed by the origin of Ancestor Bronze. Secondly, they were amazed by Fang Chen's means. To be able to revive a mystic King Realm expert, such an extraordinary ability was something that Dean Wuyun and the others could only look on in the dust. Old Ancestor Bronze. Clearly, Dean Wuyun and the other older generation powerhouses had heard of Ancestor Bronze's name before. Their faces were filled with shock as they looked at Ancestor Bronze. The ancient sword continent is no longer in any danger. I'm preparing to leave. As for old Ancestor Bronze, he will replace me as the leader of the Ancient Sword Alliance, Fang Chen said. This was what Ancestor Bronze had told him when he came back. After experiencing life and death, old Ancestor Bronze's spirit had also undergone a great transformation. He had seen through life and death and wanted to spend the rest of his life peacefully on the Ancient Sword Continent. Of course, the position of leader of the Ancient Sword Alliance was requested by Fang Chen. Fang Chen had done Ancestor Bronze a favor, so the latter immediately agreed after hearing this. With Ancestor Bronze's cultivation, he was invincible on the Ancient Sword Continent. Fang Chen was very relieved to hand the Ancient Sword Alliance over to Ancestor Bronze. Leader, where are you going? Elder Han was a little surprised and hurriedly asked. I'll return to the Burial Sword Prefecture first, then go to the legendary Outerverse, Fang Chen said casually. Dean Wuyun and the others were filled with hope. They were also very curious about the Outerverse. However, they knew that their strength was too low. Even if they went to the Outerverse, they wouldn't be able to survive. Leader, you must be careful when you go to the Outerverse, the Bloody Spearman said. Chen us old fellows also have to work hard to cultivate and strive to go to the Outerverse to find you one day. Sage Master Danqing grinned. The Bone Weapon Sage Master also looked at Fang Chen with a smile. Because of Fang Chen's existence, the Ancient Sword Continent's crisis was resolved and they were united. Fang Chen shook his wrist and 3 pills appeared in his hand. He then handed them to Dean Wuyun. I have 3 Heart of Arcane here. I'll leave them to you, Fang Chen said. Hearing this, Dean Wuyun and the others were extremely shocked. They had heard of the Heart of Arcane before. Leader, you should keep a supreme treasure like the Heart of Arcane for your own use, Elder Han hurriedly said. That's right, leader. You're about to go to the Outerverse. The Heart of Arcane will be of great use to you, the Bloody Spearman said. The 4 great sacred experts also refused one after another. Fang Chen shook his head and said, I've already stepped into the Arcane King realm. The Heart of Arcane is useless to me. I'll leave it to you. Under Fang Chen's insistence, Dean Wuyun finally accepted the 3 Heart of Arcane. At this moment, Ancestor Bronze brought his disciples to Fang Chen's side. Fang Chen, be careful, Ancestor Bronze reminded. I will, Fang Chen said. After bidding farewell to the people of the Five Elements Academy, Fang Chen quietly returned to the Divine Wind Nation. This time, he returned to the Fang family to ask his clansmen if they were willing to live in the heaven-piercing peak. The heaven-piercing peak was a space-type supreme treasure. There was a space as big as the ancient sword continent inside, and countless warriors lived there. Although the scale couldn't be compared to the ancient sword continent, it was still a small living space. If his clansmen were willing, Fang Chen could let them live in the heaven-piercing peak. Fang Chen told his father about the heaven-piercing peak. Then, his father passed it on to the upper echelons of the Fang family. In the end, only a small portion of the Fang family's disciples were willing to enter the heaven-piercing peak. Most of the Fang family's warriors were used to life in the Divine Wind Nation and were unwilling to leave their hometown. Fang Chen didn't force them. In any case, he had left a trump card for the Fang family. Moreover, with Ancestor Bronze overseeing it, unless it was a high-level arcane king expert, the Fang family wouldn't be threatened at all. Chen, we old farts won't go. You have to be careful outside. Father Fang looked at his son with a face full of smiles. Father, I will, Fang Chen said in a deep voice. After bidding farewell to his father, Fang Chen took out the token, activated it, and instantly disappeared. Burial Sword State, Tranquil Sword City. Recently, some strange things had happened in the vicinity of Tranquil Sword City. From time to time, warriors would silently disappear. A terrifying shadow shrouded the entire Tranquil Sword City. One day, the disappearance of a low-level arcane king expert finally attracted the attention of the Tranquil Sword City's City Lord Mansion. The City Lord Mansion sent out a large number of guards to search for this low-level arcane king expert. Finally, after searching for 3 days, they found this person's corpse. In a pitch-black cave 100 miles away from Tranquil Sword City, there was a corpse. After confirming that this corpse was the arcane king expert who had disappeared 3 days ago. What's going on? Could it be that someone is targeting our Tranquil Sword City? The Tranquil Sword City Lord paced back and forth in the City Lord Mansion's meeting hall. His face was filled with a gloomy expression. For a month, more than 100 true martial experts had disappeared, and only one arcane king expert had disappeared. Moreover, this was only the beginning. The other party must be a high-level arcane king expert. The Tranquil Sword City Lord thought to himself. At this moment, a guard suddenly rushed in to report the news. City Lord, we found a suspicious warrior. The guard hurriedly said. Suspicious warrior? The Tranquil Sword City Lord raised his eyebrows and asked, what's his cultivation? This person's cultivation is profound. We can't see through it. The guard said, he just entered the city. I'll go take a look. Thinking that even a low-level arcane king expert had been silently killed, the Tranquil Sword City Lord was prepared to personally take a look. The streets of Tranquil Sword City were bustling with people coming and going. These ordinary warriors had no idea about the strange things that had happened in Tranquil Sword City during this period of time. Fang Chen stood on the streets of Tranquil Sword City with a trace of a smile on his face. This Tranquil Sword City is much more prosperous than the Five Elements Sword City. Fang Chen muttered to himself. Chapter 941. En. Suddenly, a powerful aura enveloped the area. Fang Chen raised his head to look, and a smile appeared on his face. The City Lord appeared in the sky, his aura surging and enveloping Fang Chen. You. The City Lord was just about to capture Fang Chen when he suddenly realized something was wrong. Crash. The Andong City Lord landed on the street. Immediately, all the martialists on the street retreated. City Lord Fang Chen. The City Lord softly asked. City Lord Fang Chen. Fang Chen cupped his hands. Ha ha ha, so it's City Lord Fang. I was too impulsive. After learning of Fang Chen's identity, the City Lord mischievously laughed, a bit embarrassed. It's fine. Fang Chen waved his hand. He originally hadn't planned on revealing his identity, but he had been discovered by the City Lord as soon as he had arrived. City Lord Fang, how about coming to my residence? The City Lord laughed. Fang Chen nodded in agreement. After Fang Chen and the City Lord left, many martial artists were flabbergasted. Who was that young martial artist just now for the City Lord to invite him like that? According to what the City Lord said, he seems to be a City Lord. What City Lord? Such a young City Lord, could he be the Five Elements Sword City's City Lord? In an instant, The news of the Five Elements Sword City's city lord, Fang Chen's arrival, spread throughout the entire city. The outside world was incomparably lively, but within the city lord's residence, Fang Chen and the city lord were sitting on a stone bench in the garden, chatting wittily. "City Lord Fang, how come you have the time to come here?" The city lord laughed. "I was just passing by and was preparing to rest," said Fang Chen. "So it's like that. Then City Lord Fang can stay in my residence," said the city lord. Fang Chen nodded his head. The character of this Andong city lord wasn't bad. "City Lord, I just entered the city. How did you discover me?" Fang Chen curiously asked. After all, even if it was a profound King Realm expert, it was impossible for him to emit his soul force at all times and envelop the entire Andong Sword City. If that was the case, it would consume a lot of soul power. Hearing this, the Andong City Lord's expression changed slightly before he said, "City Lord Fang, you might not know, but recently, some strange things have happened in my Andong Sword City." "Oh, what strange things?" Fang Chen asked. "An Andong Sword City's martial artists have mysteriously disappeared." After hearing the detailed explanation from the Andong City Lord, Fang Chen felt that something was amiss. "City Master Andong, do you suspect that there are profound kings targeting your Andong Sword City's martial practitioners?" asked Fang Chen with a frown. "Other than this, what else is there to explain?" The Andong City Lord helplessly shrugged. Fang Chen fell into deep thought. This matter was indeed a little strange. At first, the true martial realm martial artists disappeared, then the mysterious King Realm martial artists disappeared. "Can I take a look at the corpse of that profound King Realm expert?" Fang Chen suddenly asked. "Of course." After saying this, the Andong City Lord brought Fang Chen to where the corpse was stored. In the depths of the City Lord's mansion, there was a heavily guarded area. The corpse of the profound King Realm expert was stored here. In the past few days, the City Lord's mansion's experts had been studying the corpse, but they hadn't found anything. "City Lord." The two guards cupped their hands towards the City Lord. The City Lord nodded his head and brought Fang Chen inside. Within a spacious room, there were quite a few profound King Realm experts, and they were currently studying the corpses. "Did you find anything?" asked the City Lord. When they saw this, those profound King Realm cultivators stopped what they were doing, and then one of them said, "City Lord, through our research, we've discovered that he died suddenly from having all the blood in his body sucked dry." Died from having all his blood sucked dry. Hearing this, the City Lord tightly frowned. The opponent should have an extremely tyrannical forbidden cultivation technique that can instantly suck away a martial artist's blood and then cause the martial artist's corpse to fester and quickly turn into bones, said another person. The City Lord sank into deep thought. As for Fang Chen, he walked straight towards the corpse. Several mystic King Realm martial artists blocked Fang Chen's path. "He's my good friend," said the City Lord. Hearing this, they let him go. Fang Chen arrived in front of the corpse and carefully observed it. "Boss, I sense a familiar aura," the little mouse on Fang Chen's shoulder suddenly said. Hearing this, Fang Chen heavily nodded his head. "That's right, he does have a familiar aura," said Fang Chen. Just as he approached the corpse, Fang Chen discovered that this corpse had a very familiar dark aura. He had once felt this dark aura in the God-burying sword prison. Could it be that there's a problem with the God-burying sword prison? Fang Chen inwardly thought. However, at this moment, the communication token vibrated. Fang Chen took out the communication token and a voice came out. "Fang Chen, you've returned to the Sword Burial Prefecture, right? Recently, that life form under the God-burying sword prison has become extremely active. I suspect that the strange things that have happened in the Sword Burial Prefecture are related to that life form." This message came from the Sword Burial Immortal Palace's Palace Master. The Palace Master had already known that Fang Chen had entered the Sword Burial Prefecture. "I'm leading some profound kings in front of the whirlpool in the depths of the endless ocean to suppress that life form. I can't leave. I'll have to trouble you to investigate those strange things." The Palace Master said a lot, but it was all in one sentence. He wanted Fang Chen to help investigate the strange things that had happened in the Sword Burial Prefecture. The City Lord's expression was incomparably gloomy. He was very unhappy. "City Lord," called Fang Chen. "Yes, City Lord Fang. Have you discovered anything?" asked the City Lord. "I've discovered some clues, but I'll need your cooperation," said Fang Chen. The City Lord was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "No problem. City Lord Fang, just say the word." The sun gradually set and the Sword Burial Prefecture became incomparably dark. There were only a few twinkling stars in the sky. Late at night, there wasn't a single person on the streets of the city. The streets were so dark that one couldn't even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. However, at a certain hidden spot in the city, something suddenly wriggled a few times. Following that, a black shadow instantly appeared. The moment this black shadow appeared, it was discovered by Fang Chen and the Andong City Lord, who were secretly watching. As expected, someone did it on purpose. Although the City Lord didn't clearly see the face of this black shadow, he already couldn't wait to kill it. "Wait a bit," said Fang Chen. On the main street, the black figure moved forward rapidly. It didn't take long for it to find a courtyard. After which, it entered the courtyard with ease. Rip! The black shadow grabbed a true martial realm expert who was sleeping soundly in the courtyard and enveloped him in a black mist. In the blink of an eye, the true martial realm expert turned into a skeleton. Then with a gust of wind, the skeleton turned into powder and was blown away by the wind. "Do it." Seeing this, Fang Chen and the City Lord immediately took action. Voila! A berserk aura instantly filled the air. The sky above the Sword Burial Prefecture was incomparably bright. Fang Chen teleported and appeared on the streets, then rushed towards the black shadow. The black shadow discovered that it had been exposed. Its figure flashed and directly drilled into the ground, then disappeared. Yes. When Fang Chen arrived, the black shadow had already disappeared without a trace. "City Lord Fang, where's the thief?" the City Lord hurriedly asked. "He drilled into the ground," said Fang Chen. "Then what do we do?" asked the City Lord. "Follow me." Fang Chen shuttled through spacetime and took a step forward, instantly appearing outside Tranquil Sword City. "Attack the east!" Fang Chen roared. Then, he waved the hidden star sword. Suddenly, a majestic sword light violently bombarded the eastern land. Seeing this, the Andong City Lord did not hesitate to use his strongest attack. Rumble. The powerful attacks of the two instantly created a large crater outside the Sword Burial Prefecture. Ah! A miserable shriek came from the crater. Then, a black shadow flew out and blood splattered across the sky. "He's trying to escape." The City Lord roared when he saw that the black shadow was trying to escape. Fang Chen held the hidden star sword horizontally. Within his chi, three completely opposite sword chi instantly appeared and quickly condensed. The aura around him suddenly rose to its peak. 3 Revolution Radiance Sword Technique. Chapter 942. The 3 Revolutions Radiance Sword Technique was inherited from the buried Sword Emperor. Although Fang Chen was unable to fully unleash the power of this sword technique with his current cultivation, it was not to be underestimated. Crash! In the sky, a dazzling ray of light pierced towards the fleeing figure at an unimaginable speed. Rumble! The majestic sword light was like a huge arm of light. When the 3 Revolutions Radiant Sword Technique was executed, the Dong'an City Lord felt his heart palpitate. What sword technique is this? The Dong'an City Lord's pupils constricted as he stared at the sword light in the sky in shock. The sword technique that Fang Chen executed was so powerful that it made his heart palpitate. No wonder he's the strongest genius of the Burial Sword Prefecture in the past 10,000 years, the Dong'an City Lord thought to himself. While the Dong'an City Lord was thinking, the 3 Revolutions Radiant Sword Technique's light shot towards the black figure with a thunderous force. Poochie! The fleeing black shadow suddenly stopped in its tracks. In the next instant, his eyes were filled with disbelief. No. Then, the black silhouette let out a miserable scream. Crack! The 3 Revolutions Radiant Sword Technique pierced the black figure's body, but it did not leave a single mark. Instead, it destroyed the black figure's body from the inside, causing the latter's body to explode. Whoosh! Seeing this, the corners of Fang Chen's mouth curled up into a smile. The 3 revolutions radiant sword technique is extremely powerful. It can destroy a cultivator's body from the inside. If it's cultivated to the peak, it'll be even more powerful, Fang Chen said to himself. The Dong'an City Lord landed at the spot where the black figure's body had exploded. At this moment, the black figure's body had already shattered into pieces. How is it? Fang Chen asked the Dong'an City Lord. It doesn't look like a human, the Dong'an City Lord said softly. Let's go, Fang Chen said after pondering for a moment. This time, he had executed the 3 revolutions radiant sword technique in a moment of desperation and destroyed the black figure's body. After returning to Tranquil Sword City, Fang Chen discussed with the Tranquil East City Lord and decided to continue waiting. That night, another ghostly shadow silently appeared on the streets of Andong Sword City. I don't know where Heisan went. The black silhouette muttered to itself. Then, he sneaked into a house and prepared to commit murder. Looking at his proficient appearance, it seemed that he had done some scouting during the day. This time, Fang Chen didn't give him a chance and attacked together with the Andong City Lord. A moment later, the black shadow was captured by the 2 men. All of you will die, the black silhouette said crazily. Fang Chen flicked his wrist, and a majestic aura instantly shot toward the black shadow. Immediately, the black mist around the black shadow was blown away. At this moment, the face of the black shadow was finally revealed. When he saw the face of the black shadow, the Andong City Lord was astonished. The black shadow's body was the same as a human's, but its brain was very different. There were 2 horns on its head, and its nose was as big as a pig's nose. Its ears were also very big, and its eyes were red. City Lord Fang, do you know what it is? The Andong City Lord asked. Fang Chen shook his head, indicating that he didn't know. Who are you? Why are you attacking the cultivators of Andong Sword City? Fang Chen asked in a deep voice. The black shadow coldly snorted, and a terrifying light shot out from its red eyes. Crack. Seeing this, Fang Chen grabbed the black shadow's neck and activated his saint-level strength. The black shadow was choked by Fang Chen, and it couldn't breathe properly as it constantly struggled. However, Fang Chen was too strong, and it couldn't resist. Who are you? The Andong City Lord asked. Don't even think about it. The black shadow's attitude was still very unyielding. Poochie. Fang Chen grabbed the black shadow's arm and pulled with force, breaking the black shadow's arm. Ah! The black shadow let out a miserable cry, and blood flowed out continuously. Beads of sweat covered his forehead. However, its eyes were filled with anger. It lowered its head, ignoring Fang Chen. Interesting. The corners of Fang Chen's mouth curled up as he laughed coldly. He grabbed the 2 horns on the black figure's head and used his strength to pull them out. At this moment, the black shadow finally moved. Countless strange auras were emitted from his forehead. As the strange auras poured out, the cultivator's aura became incomparably weak, as if he were about to die. You only have 1 chance, Fang Chen said coldly as he grabbed the black shadow's neck. The black shadow's body was incomparably weak, and it finally stopped resisting. I said you have to promise not to kill me, said the black shadow. All right, agreed Fang Chen straightforwardly. We were all born by Lord Meng. It told us to infiltrate the Sword Burial Province and absorb the blood of human cultivators to strengthen ourselves and listen to its orders, said the black shadow hastily. Lord Meng, asked Fang Chen after exchanging a glance with the Andong City Lord. Where is Lord Meng? Asked the Andong City Lord. This matter seemed a bit unusual. Lord Meng is in a secret place. I don't know. We were born by Lord Meng, so we can only listen to Lord Meng, continued the Black Shadow. Actually, Fang Chen had already guessed that the Lord Meng that the Black Shadow mentioned should be the extraterritorial creature that was suppressed under the God Burial Sword Prison. How did Lord Meng give birth to you? If he wanted to deal with Lord Meng, he had to thoroughly understand its situation. Lord Meng is a very powerful extraterrestrial being. It's very powerful. As long as it absorbs enough energy, it can give birth to countless beings, said the Black Shadow. We're the child bodies, while Lord Meng is the mother body. As long as the mother body doesn't die, we'll continue to give birth. Hearing this, Fang Chen and the Andong City Lord's hearts sank. A Queen Mother? Legend had it that there was a very powerful being in the extraterrestrial universe called the Dark Queen Mother. Under normal circumstances, powerful warriors wouldn't dare to provoke the Dark Queen Mother's tribe. This was because as long as a member of the Dark Queen Mother's tribe reached adulthood, they would have a special ability to give birth to an endless number of child bodies. As long as the mother body didn't die, the child bodies would continue to be created. This way, every being in the Dark Queen Mother's tribe seemed to have an army of their own. It was very intimidating. Dark Queen Mother, it's actually the Dark Queen Mother. Fang Chen was shocked. He didn't expect that the extraterrestrial being suppressed by the God-burying sword prison was actually the Dark Queen Mother. I've already told you what I know. You can't kill me, said the black shadow as it stared at Fang Chen with its blood-red eyes. I won't kill you. Fang Chen glanced at the Andong City Lord as he spoke. The latter smiled knowingly and took a step forward. He raised his sword and chopped off the black shadow's head. City Lord Fang won't kill you, but I didn't say anything. The Andong City Lord looked at the black shadow and slowly said. After killing the black shadow, Fang Chen and the Andong City Lord returned to the City Lord's mansion. City Lord Fang, as long as the mother body doesn't die, the child bodies will continue to appear. This will be a disaster for our sword burial prefecture. What should we do? Asked the Andong City Lord as he anxiously paced around. Fang Chen sank into thought. These child bodies weren't strong, and their offensive power wasn't high. With the power of the various city lords, they could definitely deal with them. Right now, the biggest threat was the Dark Queen Mother suppressed by the God-burying sword prison. Palace Master, what's the situation on your side? Fang Chen sent a message to the Sword Burial Immortal Palace's Palace Master. A moment later, the Palace Master replied. I don't know what kind of energy those extraterrestrial beings have absorbed, but they're extremely active. The God-burying sword prison is almost unable to suppress them. Upon hearing the Palace Master's reply, Fang Chen's face was filled with helplessness. Palace Master, the strange things that are happening all over the Sword Burial Prefecture are caused by the Dark Queen Mother's child bodies. If we don't kill the mother body, the child bodies will continue to appear, continued Fang Chen. What method do you have? Asked the Palace Master. Fang Chen pondered for a moment and then asked, Palace Master, how long can you last? According to this situation, the most I can last is half a year, said the Palace Master. I want to try going to the God-burying sword prison, said Fang Chen. The Palace Master directly replied, perhaps that's the best method. Chapter 943. After a simple conversation with the Palace Master, Fang Chen made up his mind to enter the God-burying sword prison after notifying the City Lord of Tranquil East. However, he discovered that the City Lord of Tranquil East was not in the City Lord Manor. Fang Chen ejected his soul and scanned the Tranquil East Sword City. He instantly discovered that the City Lord of Tranquil East was in the sky above the city. There seemed to be a mystic king realm cultivator beside him. Crash. With a thought, Fang Chen traveled through space and arrived in the sky. City Lord of Tranquil East, what are you doing? Fang Chen asked. City Lord Fang, this is an array Saint Master. I invited him here to set up a downgrade array to protect the Tranquil East Sword City. If a shadow appears, I will immediately discover it, said the City Lord. Hearing this, Fang Chen suddenly thought of an idea. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared. Within the City Lord Manor, in a hidden courtyard. Fang Chen's body was filled with a majestic aura. In this courtyard, there was one array after another. Fang Chen was currently trying to break through to the Divine Array Master Realm. In the ancient Sword Continent, the Divine Array Master Realm was the strongest realm in the Tao of Arrays. Fang Chen had long since reached the peak of the Divine Array Master Realm in the Tao of Arrays. Today, he had gained some inspiration and was preparing to break through to the Divine Array Master Realm. If I can set up a Divine Array Master Realm and cover all the major cities, the Dark Knight Mother's child body will not be able to break through, muttered Fang Chen. Fang Chen was very confident in breaking through to the Divine Array Master Realm. At this moment, he was constantly trying to break through. Rumble. One array after another quietly appeared. These arrays were mixed together by Fang Chen, and he was constantly studying and setting them up. In 3 days, Fang Chen had completely mastered these arrays and broke through to the Divine Array Master realm. Divine Array Master. A large number of arrays around Fang Chen were removed. He stood up with a smile on his face. City Lord Manor, Conference Hall. City Lord of Tranquil East, I have something I need to talk to you about, said Fang Chen. City Lord Fang has been cultivating for the past 3 days. Did you break through? Asked the City Lord of Tranquil East. Fang Chen nodded and said, I've already reached the Divine Array Master Realm, and I can set up a Divine Array Master Realm. I've already reached Divine Array Master Realm. I've is my Divine Array Master. After hearing Fang Chen's words, the Andong City Lord understood Fang Chen's intentions. His face was filled with excitement. Tranquil Palace Hall. Of Tranquil Array Master Realm Tranquil Realm. The Tranquils Tranquil S. Of Divine Tranquil Heaven. City Lord Fang, when do you plan to set it up? The Andong City Lord asked with a smile. How about now? The Tranquil. I've made a fool of myself in front of City Lord Fang. After learning that Fang Chen was a Divine Array Master, the Alchemy Saint Master respected Fang Chen even more. Fang Chen took a step forward and flicked his wrist. Immediately, countless purple crystals were scattered all around Andong Sword City. Crash after the purple crystal drilled into the ground, a majestic aura surged around Fang Chen's body. He began to set up a divine level formation. Setting up a God-grade array formation wasn't as simple as drawing an array formation model. Instead, one had to go deep into the core of the array formation and operate it thoroughly. Ordinary people would never be able to see a divine-level array formation. And now, Fang Chen was actually setting up a divine-level array formation. Swoosh after the 108 purple crystals were all in place. With a flick of his wrist, Fang Chen activated his saint-level sword body. Majestic sword chi soared into the sky and turned into 108 sword lights. Bang bang bunga 108 streaks of sword light swooped down and stabbed into the 108 violet crystals. Hum with a deafening sound, the array foundation was formed. Next, it was time to set up the core of the array formation. For this, Fang Chen and the City Lord of Andong City brought a piece of purple crystal soulstone. With the purple crystal soulstone as the core of the array and the 108 streaks of sword chi as the array foundation, the divine-level array formation was instantly formed. Crash. After the formation of the divine-level array, the entire Andong Sword City was filled with an oppressive aura. 108 streaks of sword light were faintly discernible. What a powerful array formation. The City Lord of Andong City and the Alchemy Saint Master couldn't help but sigh. City Lord of Andong City, this is the chant to control the array formation. Fang Chen passed the chant to the City Lord of Andong City before bidding farewell and leaving. In the following time, Fang Chen shuttled through one city after another. He constantly set up the divine-level array to protect these cities. On a certain day, Fang Chen arrived at the Five Elements Sword City. The City Lord is back. No one knew how the news spread, but the entire Five Elements Sword City was in an uproar. The current Fang Chen was the god of the Five Elements Sword City, the faith of the Five Elements Sword City. All the cultivators were loudly shouting Fang Chen's name. That's the City Lord. On the streets, the eyes of some cultivators were filled with fervor. An imposing figure was floating in the sky, setting up a peerless array formation. Before long, the array formation was complete. What a terrifying array formation. Many cultivators in the Five Elements Sword City were shocked. After setting up the divine-level array, Fang Chen left a few words for the Five Elements Palace Lord before leaving. After that, Fang Chen went to the Azura Sword City, Gold Sword City, and other places. Half a month later, all the cities in the Burial Sword Province were enveloped by the divine-level array. And at this time, Fang Chen hurriedly headed to the Endless Ocean. In the depths of the Endless Ocean, in front of a huge whirlpool. With the Palace Lord at the lead, over 10 profound kings were standing there with grave expressions. Palace Lord, the alien life-form's struggle is getting stronger and stronger. What should we do? Asked a profound king. Do your best to suppress it, said the palace lord. After the palace lord finished speaking, his heart stirred. He turned his head and saw that Fang Chen had arrived. Palace lord, what's the situation? Asked Fang Chen. It's not too optimistic, said the palace lord simply. Fang Chen frowned and said, Palace lord, all the cities in the Burial Sword province have been enveloped by the divine level array formation I've set up. There's nothing to worry about for now. The other profound kings looked at Fang Chen with surprise when they heard this. You've stepped into the divine master realm? Asked the palace lord. Fang Chen nodded and went straight to the point. Palace lord, time is of the essence. I need to enter the God Burial Sword prison now. Before the palace master could speak, the expressions of the other profound kings turned grim, and they directly spoke out to stop the palace master. Palace master, we're utterly unable to open the God Burial Sword prison in our current state. That's right, palace lord. If we forcefully open the God Burial Sword prison, the alien life form might escape. Palace lord, you can't do that. Once the alien life form escapes, the Burial Sword province will be bathed in blood. The mystic kings all refused. What's going on? Asked Fang Chen. To open the God Burial Sword prison, we need to make it float. That way, the seal will loosen a lot. The God Burial Sword prison suppressed the alien life form. Once it floated, the seal would loosen, and the alien life form would escape. They couldn't take that risk. Everyone's expressions were grave. Even the palace lord was hesitating. A medallion appeared in Fang Chen's hand. Palace lord, I think you've misunderstood me. There's no need for you to open the God Burial Sword prison. I can go in myself, said Fang Chen. You. All the profound kings, including the palace master, were shocked when they heard this. A medallion bestowed by the sword-burying emperor? Asked the palace lord. Fang Chen nodded. The palace lord's eyes were blazing. All right, Fang Chen. Even if we have to risk our lives, we'll buy time for you. You just need to go in, said the palace lord. The other profound kings nodded heavily as well. Only the palace lord knew that Fang Chen had received the sword-burying emperor's approval. Now that these mystic kings knew about it, they were extremely supportive of Fang Chen. Perhaps Fang Chen was the only one who could resolve the Burial Sword province's crisis. Fang Chen activated the medallion and disappeared. He entered the God Burial Sword prison. Palace lord, Fang Chen really received the sword-burying emperor's approval? Asked one of the profound kings in disbelief. That's right. Fang Chen already received the sword-burying emperor's approval. That's why I placed all my hopes on him, said the palace lord. After all, the Burial Sword province was formed from the sword-burying emperor's body. Chapter 944. God-burying sword prison. This was the second time Fang Chen had entered this place. With his current strength, there was almost no resistance in the first 10 floors. When he arrived at the 11th floor, Fang Chen was still unstoppable. Roar. A large number of Mystic King Realm beasts appeared on the 11th floor. Most of these beasts were low-level Mystic King Realm beasts. To Fang Chen, they were nothing. Break. The 3-revolution radiant sword technique was executed. With one slash, a large number of beasts were killed. Then, he used the space-time true meaning and disappeared from the 11th floor. Then, he entered the 12th floor. There was still not much danger on the 12th floor. When he entered the 13th floor, he finally forced Fang Chen to use his strongest attack. The 3-revolution radiant sword technique was executed to the extreme. The Saint-class sword body was also fully activated. The space-time true meaning was executed continuously. However, he still managed to kill his way out and entered the 14th floor. The 14th floor was peaceful. Fang Chen felt a little strange. Crash. Suddenly, the ground on the ground loosened, and a huge skeleton appeared instantly. Human, if you want to enter the 15th floor, you will have to pass through me. A voice came from the skeleton. The skeleton was a human expert when he was alive. After he died, his skeleton mutated and became what it was now. 3-revolution radiance sword technique. Fang Chen attacked without any hesitation. A wild sword light immediately shot out from the hidden star sword. Ding! Ding! In a flash, The hidden star sword and the skeleton clashed a few times. The skeleton's body retreated a few steps. Fang Chen's body was also pushed back a little. After stabilizing his body, Fang Chen stared at the skeleton with a complicated look in his eyes. "You dare to challenge me with such strength?" The skeleton laughed eerily. He did not attack Fang Chen. Instead, he stood quietly and sneered. The skeleton was very strong. It was at least a 4th-level Mystic King Realm expert. From the fact that it could easily block his 3-revolution radiant sword technique, it could be seen that he could not pass through with his current strength. Crash activating the true will of spacetime, Fang Chen returned to the 13th level, sat down cross-legged, and began cultivating Void Meteor Annihilation. He had obtained a secret art from the heaven-reaching peak, but he had yet to learn it. Now, Fang Chen had no choice but to cultivate Void. Fang Chen's mind was filled with information about the Void Meteor Strike. Because Fang Chen was proficient in the spacetime true intent, cultivating the spacetime meteorite strike was much easier than expected. In order to unleash the full power of the Void Meteor Strike, it required the assistance of the true intent of Void. On the other hand, Fang Chen's true meaning of spacetime was much stronger than the true meaning of Void. Naturally, it was more compatible with the Void Meteorite Strike. Dong the golden heart beat rapidly. In an instant, Fang Chen felt as if he had fallen into a dream. He saw a little golden man in his mind, holding a long sword and brandishing a messy sword technique. Swoosh! Suddenly, the little golden man waved the long sword in his hand. Immediately, a majestic sword chi condensed in the air above his head. The majestic sword chi fused into the void and turned into a transparent long sword. On the transparent long sword, majestic sword chi was constantly dissipating. Void Meteor Annihilation. Following the little golden man's loud roar, the transparent long sword suddenly pierced out with a loud rumble. Rumble. A deafening sound was heard. The transparent long sword pierced into the void far away, tearing the void apart and forming a spatial turbulence. Phew. When the power of the Void Meteor Annihilation dissipated, Fang Chen suddenly woke up. What a powerful Void Meteor Annihilation. Fang Chen stood up, holding the hidden star sword in his hand, and began cultivating the Void Meteor Annihilation. Half a month later, in the 13th level of the God-burying sword prison, Fang Chen's figure was faintly discernible. The true intent of void around him spread out, spiritual energy surged, and the hidden star sword in his hand contained a majestic power. Void Meteor Annihilation. When performing the Void Meteor Annihilation, Fang Chen pushed the true intent of spacetime to the extreme. Swoosh! The transparent long sword suddenly took shape, and then it directly pierced out. Rumble! Under the control of Fang Chen, the transparent long sword bombarded a mountain in the distance. Suddenly, the mountain was annihilated. What a strong power! Fang Chen couldn't help but exclaim. The power of the Void Meteor Annihilation was stronger than the 3-revolution radiant sword technique. It's worthy of being the master of Tongtian Island's unique skill. Fang Chen secretly exclaimed. The previous owner of Tongtian Peak was known as the master of Tongtian Island, an extraterrestrial overlord. The power of his lifetime's ultimate skill was extremely powerful. Fang Chen had only learned a little, but he felt that his strength had increased a lot. If the Void Meteor Annihilation is so powerful, I wonder how strong the Star Sky skill is. Fang Chen was looking forward to the Star Sky skill. But right now, the most important thing was to reach the 18th floor and become the inner disciple of Zongjian Emperor. Then, he would save the burial sword state. Zongjian Emperor was definitely stronger than the master of Tongtian Island. It wasn't that the 3-revolution radiant sword technique wasn't strong, but that Fang Chen couldn't unleash its full power. As for the Void Meteor Annihilation, it could unleash even more power with the assistance of the true intent of spacetime. In the future, when Fang Chen's cultivation increased, he would be able to unleash the true power of the 3-revolution radiant sword technique. With my current strength, I wonder if I can deal with withered bones. Fang Chen muttered to himself. When he entered the 14th floor again, he was immediately discovered by Withered Bones. "Kid, you're here again." Fang Chen realized that Withered Bones seemed to have some restrictions and couldn't attack him. This gave him plenty of time to prepare. 3 Revolution Radiance Sword Technique. Fang Chen shouted and executed the 3 Revolution Radiance Sword Technique. A majestic sword light shot towards withered bones. Ding ding ding. As Fang Chen expected, the 3 Revolution Radiance Sword Technique couldn't defeat withered bones. Insignificant skill. Withered bones sneered and shattered the majestic sword light. At this moment, the true intent of spacetime was executed. Swish. Fang Chen's body instantly disappeared. When he disappeared, time actually stopped for a short moment. This is the power of time. Withered Bones, who was originally disdainful, suddenly exclaimed. In the next moment, a transparent long sword appeared and pierced towards Withered Bones. Rumble. The Void Meteor Annihilation attacked with full power, causing the earth to tremble. One of Withered Bones' arms was chopped off. Withered Bones cried out in shock. Fang Chen's secret technique was too powerful and chopped off one of Withered Bones' arms. Still not enough. Seeing that Withered Bones had entered a frenzied state, Fang Chen curled his lips and executed the true intent of spacetime, hiding in the 13th floor. Damn it! Fang Chen couldn't help but curse. Withered Bones' strength was stronger than he had imagined. Continue to cultivate. Fang Chen didn't have much time left and he couldn't afford to waste any more time. He sat cross-legged and continued to cultivate. While Fang Chen was immersed in cultivation, on the 18th floor of the God-Burying Sword prison, the 8 guardians stood side by side. In front of them was a bright mirror and there was a clear image on the mirror. This kid's potential is really incredible. Yeah, to be accepted as a personal disciple by the God-Burying Sword Emperor, it's enough to show how outstanding he is. I wonder if he can enter the 18th floor this time. The 8 guardians were paying attention to Fang Chen's every move. Due to the restriction of the rules, they couldn't help Fang Chen. On the 13th floor, after another half a month, the Void Meteor Annihilation had been cultivated to the extreme. According to the classification, he had reached the Transcendent Realm. At this moment, Fang Chen was very familiar with the use of the Void Meteor Annihilation. One strike could destroy a mountain. Even a level 4 profound King Realm martial artist couldn't withstand it directly. So powerful. When the Void Meteor Annihilation was cultivated to the extreme, Fang Chen realized that this secret skill could really break the void. This time, Fang Chen was full of confidence. Let's try again. On the 14th floor. Kid, I'm going to kill you this time. Withered Bones said eerily when he saw Fang Chen. His face was filled with anger. I'm afraid you'll be the one to die. Fang Chen sneered and disappeared. At the same time, he executed the Void Meteor Annihilation. A long river like the Milky Way appeared instantly. Sword Chi rolled in the long river and its aura shook the heavens. Rumble. Chapter 945. In the void, the long river surged, and the majestic sword Chi rolled. The skeleton was trapped in the long river, and it let out a miserable cry. In the blink of an eye, the skeleton was corroded by the sword Chi, and finally shattered into pieces. Splash. After the skeleton shattered, the sword Chi stopped rolling, and the long river gradually disappeared. Fang Chen's face was full of smiles. When the void meteorite strike was cultivated to the extreme, it could transform into a long river. It was extremely powerful. Let's go. After passing the 14th level, they entered the 15th level. On the 15th level, there were densely packed creatures on the ground, and in the sky, there was a leader. Cold Moon Cat Demon. Suddenly, a gust of cold air invaded, and Fang Chen's face changed slightly. The Cold Moon Cat Demon was a terrifying demonic beast. However, it also had its weaknesses. It was extremely fast, and its attack power was also very strong, but its defense was weak. Boss, let me do it. Little Mouse had wanted to take action for a long time, but Fang Chen did not let it do so. Now, it was finally time for it to take action. Little Mouse stood in the air with its paws on its waist, and said arrogantly, "How dare a cat demon show off in front of me? Hurry up and make way for my boss." Hearing this, the Cold Moon Cat Demon in the sky was furious and roared loudly. Roar. Following the cat demon's loud roar, the black mass of creatures on the ground all rushed towards Fang Chen. "Boss, I'll leave this little minion to you. Little Mouse grinned. Fang Chen nodded and used the 3 revolution radiance sword art. At the same time, he used the true meaning of space-time, and all the creatures near Little Mouse were all imprisoned. Roar! Little Mouse used its special ability, and a purple light surged, and the shadow of a purple mouse condensed behind it. Then, a majestic attractive force spread out. The Cold Moon Cat demon was about to attack when it was suddenly frightened by the attractive force. No! The terrifying attractive force instantly enveloped the Cold Moon Cat demon, and it was unable to resist. Your special ability is even stronger. Fang Chen looked at Little Mouse and nodded slightly. Even the Cold Moon Cat demon could not resist Little Mouse's special ability. Swoosh! The Cold Moon Cat demon was unwillingly sucked into Little Mouse's bloody mouth. Crack! The Little Mouse's tough teeth crushed the Cold Moon Demon Cat. After the Cold Moon Demon Cat died, the countless creatures on the ground retreated in fear. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared. Boss, this cat demon isn't challenging at all. Little Mouse jumped onto Fang Chen's shoulder and grinned. The Cold Moon Cat demon's defense was not strong enough to withstand the Little Mouse's innate divine ability. If it was a creature with a strong defense, it would be more or less the same. Fang Chen was already used to the Little Mouse's innate magical powers, but the 8 guardians on the 18th floor were shocked. Didn't you notice that this innate divine ability is very familiar? Asked one of the protectors. It instantly released a powerful suction force. The Cold Moon Cat demon was sucked into its mouth without any resistance. This Little Mouse's teeth can actually crush the Cold Moon Cat demoness. This little mouse reminded me of something. Are you talking about the heaven-devouring god mouse that once accompanied Emperor Zhongjian? The 8 guardians were shocked. Outside, 5 Elements Sword City. The god-slaying sword formation released a majestic aura that tightly enveloped 5 Elements Sword City. The 5 Elements Palace Lord was very happy. Ever since he obtained the god-slaying sword formation, he had already easily killed several of the Dark Knight Mother's princes. Palace Lord, with this god-slaying sword formation, 5 Elements Sword City will not be in any danger. That's right. Just as the Palace Lord finished speaking, he suddenly felt the god-slaying sword formation tremble. Voila! The 5 Elements Palace Lord stood in the sky and looked down. Palace Lord, there's a creature attacking from the southwest corner. An elder hastily said. Palace Lord, there's a creature attacking from the west. Palace Lord, there's a creature attacking from the north. One after another, the elders continued to report the situation. The god-slaying sword formation was facing so many powerful attacks at the same time. The 5 Elements Palace Lord sensed that something was wrong. What's going on? The 5 Elements Palace Lord's expression was grave. Dong! Deafening sounds came one after another. The creatures outside the god-slaying sword formation seemed to have grasped a method to break the god-slaying sword formation. Outside the god-slaying sword formation, north. Boss, with this void-breaking pearl, we'll definitely be able to break this formation. A Dark Knight Mother's princes grinned. Continue to increase the attack. The leading creature held a pearl that emitted a resplendent light in its hand. Because of this pearl, the god-slaying sword formation seemed to not be so stable. The god-slaying sword formation is spreading. In the blink of an eye, the 5 Elements Palace Lord realized that something was wrong. Attack with all your strength. The 5 Elements Palace Lord roared. The 5 Elements Sword City began a crazy counterattack. However, not long after, the 5 Elements Palace Master discovered that their counterattack was simply useless. What should we do? What should we do? The 5 Elements Palace Lord was extremely anxious. At this moment, in the sky 100 miles away from the 5 Elements Sword City, 11 cultivators were flying rapidly. Zhongjian and the others had already returned to the Sword Burial Province and had been in seclusion. As soon as they came out, they learned of the crisis in the Sword Burial Province. Then, they prepared to head to the Endless Ocean to support the Palace Lord. However, they happened to pass by the 5 Elements Sword City and were prepared to solve the crisis of the 5 Elements Sword City. Fang Chen, the city lord, Dark Sword said. We're almost there, Daoist Tianhong said. When the 11 of them arrived, The god-slaying sword formation shook and was about to shatter. The leader of the Dark Knight Mother's princes held the void-breaking pearl in his hand and was extremely excited. Increase the attack, the formation is about to shatter. Inside the formation, the Five Elements Palace Lord was extremely anxious. Once the god-slaying sword formation shattered, a huge number of creatures would attack. With his strength alone, he would not be able to resist at all. How could this be? The Five Elements Palace Lord was very distressed. However, at this moment, the Five Elements Palace Lord suddenly heard a trace of something wrong. Rumble, a deafening sound resounded through the sky. The shaking of the god-slaying sword formation gradually stopped. Through the formation, the Five Elements Palace Lord discovered that there were powerhouses killing the princes of the Dark Knight Mother. 8 extreme powerhouses. The Five Elements Palace Lord recognized Dark Sword and the others and was extremely excited. Outside the formation, Zongjian and the others began to kill. Miserable cries continued to ring out. In the blink of an eye, a large number of the princes of the Dark Knight Mother died. Zongjian found the leader, and a brilliant light shot out from his body, instantly enveloping the leader. Crack! The leader's arm was instantly shattered. Zongjian waved his hand and held the void-breaking pearl. "Return my void-breaking pearl!" The leader roared loudly. "Die!" As soon as Zongjian finished speaking, he killed the leader. With the death of the leader, a large number of the princes of the Dark Knight Mother were all killed. The crisis of the Five Elements Sword City was finally resolved with the arrival of the 11 powerhouses. Zongjian, what is this thing? The 11 powerhouses gathered together and discovered the void-breaking pearl in Zongjian's hand. "I'm not sure either," Zongjian said as he played with it. "Let me see," the Icefire King suddenly said. Zongjian casually threw the void-breaking pearl to the Icefire King and carefully observed it. No one noticed that when the Icefire King held the void-breaking pearl, a trace of heat flashed across his eyes. "This pearl seems to be a little extraordinary. Can I study it?" the Icefire King asked. Everyone nodded. In any case, this thing wasn't of much use to them. In the end, the Icefire King put away the void-breaking pearl. "Thank you for your help." At this moment, the Five Elements Palace Master flew out and cupped his hands to thank the 11 people. "This is Fang Chen's territory. We naturally won't leave you in the lurch," said the Dark Sword. The other powerhouses nodded. "Everyone, do you want to go to the Five Elements Sword City for a visit?" asked the Five Elements Palace Master. "We still have urgent matters to attend to," said Daoist Tianhong. "In that case, we won't disturb you," said the Five Elements Palace Master with a smile. The 11 of them looked at each other, then turned around and disappeared. After flying for a while, the Icefire King suddenly stopped. "Everyone, I have some urgent matters to attend to. You can leave first. I'll catch up later." "Icefire King, what's the matter? Do you need our help?" asked the ox-nosed old Daoist. "No need. I can handle it myself. The crisis of the Sword Burial Province cannot be delayed," said the Icefire King. Chapter 946. The God-Burying Sword Prison was full of mystery. Everyone thought that the God-Burying Sword Prison was a prison that held the resentment of the Almighties who had fallen during the dark turmoil. However, one would only realize that the God-Burying Sword Prison was not as simple as a prison after experiencing it for themselves. As Fang Chen went deeper, he vaguely felt that the God-Burying Sword Prison was meant to nurture top experts. Every level of the God-Burying Sword Prison seemed to be dangerous, but there was still a chance of survival. Moreover, there were very few resentment of the Almighties in the Sword Prison, but there were many extraterritorial creatures. Fang Chen suspected that these extraterritorial creatures were meant to train the warriors who entered. Although the Cold Moon Cat Demon on the 15th level was powerful, it posed no threat to Fang Chen at all. The Cold Moon Cat Demon's physical defense was strong, but its soul defense was weak. Therefore, it could not withstand Little Mouse's gifted superpower attack. Now, Fang Chen finally stepped into the 16th level. "Soon, I just need to persevere for 2 more levels, and I will be able to reach the 18th level safely." Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. As soon as he entered the 16th level, Fang Chen discovered a large number of demonic beasts. "This is," Seeing these demonic beasts, Fang Chen was completely shocked. The demonic beasts on the 16th level were all mutant golden demons. How is this possible? A great storm took place in Fang Chen's heart. Mutant golden devils were extremely rare to begin with. And now, Fang Chen had encountered so many golden demon clan monsters. Mystic King Realm mutant golden demons. Little Mouse, who was on Fang Chen's shoulder, also narrowed its eyes. A mutant golden demon was nothing to Little Mouse, but there were so many of them that even his gifted superpower could not help. "Boss, what should we do?" Little Mouse asked anxiously. "Run." Without hesitation, Fang Chen activated the space-time true meaning to the maximum and disappeared into the void. Roar. Countless mutant golden demons roared and chased after Fang Chen. Swoosh! Every time Fang Chen revealed his true form, he would swing his sword. The power of the 3 revolutions radiant sword technique was abnormally strong. However, there was no reaction from the mutant golden devil. He's immune to physical attacks to this extent. Fang Chen couldn't help but click his tongue. These mutant golden devil's immunity was too strong. Bang! After fleeing for a while, Fang Chen was finally stopped by a mutant golden fiend. The 3 revolutions radiant sword technique was displayed, and the hidden star sword directly pierced towards the mutated golden devil. Ding ding ding! The sound of metal colliding instantly rang out. The mutant golden devil's body was forced back. Taking advantage of this time, Fang Chen used a soul attack secret art, Ice Secret Sword. Swoosh! A majestic soul emerged in an instant and then condensed into a long sword of ice. Carrying a majestic power, it pierced towards the mutant golden demon. Dong! When the Ice Secret Sword stabbed towards the mutant gold devil, the latter's body paused for a moment, and then it let out a miserable cry. Seeing this, Fang Chen's eyes flashed with a fiery light. The attack of the Ice Secret Sword is effective. In the following time, Fang Chen used the true meaning of space and time while using the Ice Secret Sword. Every time he used the Ice Secret Sword, a mutant golden devil would fall to the ground. Time passed in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, 6 hours had passed. During this time, Fang Chen had been fleeing, but in the process of fleeing, the mutant golden devils were also being killed. After 6 hours of fleeing, Fang Chen finally grasped the knack of it. The mutant golden devils are afraid of the Ice Secret Sword. Fang Chen said to himself. Fang Chen's soul was very strong. It had reached the late stage of the green class, and was only 1 step away from the cyan class. The Ice Secret Sword was a soul attack secret art, and its attack power was very strong. Moreover, coupled with Fang Chen's true meaning of ice, no mutant golden devil could get close. At this time, on the 18th floor, the 8 guardians looked at the mirror and let out a sigh of relief. It seems that we all underestimated this kid. Yeah, the mutant golden devil's weakness is their soul. His soul secret art is so strange, and it just so happens to counter the mutant golden devils. This kid's soul is continuously using soul attack secret arts. It seems like his soul is about to break through. Look, his soul is breaking through. One of the guardians suddenly yelled. On the mirror, a large number of mutant golden devils were constantly rushing towards Fang Chen. The latter's eyes flickered, and his soul was enveloped. Swish, swish. One by one, the mutant golden devils fell to the ground. At a certain moment, the soul around Fang Chen's body suddenly underwent a change. Rumble. The late stage of the green class soul broke through to the early stage of the cyan class. I broke through. Fang Chen, who was attacking, revealed a smile. He didn't expect that his soul would break through under continuous high-intensity attacks. The later stages of soul cultivation, the harder it was to break through. This breakthrough wasn't inferior to breaking through from the true martial realm to the mystic king realm. Fang Chen was extremely excited. When his soul broke through to the early stage of the cyan class, he no longer feared the mutant golden devils on the 16th floor. You weak ants. After being chased for several hours, he could finally hold his head high. Fang Chen quietly floated in the sky, the space-time aura around him flashing. Thousands of mutant golden devils were constantly converging, crazily roaring at Fang Chen. Secret Sword of Ice. A substantial light shot out from Fang Chen's eyes. Then, a majestic cyan soul instantly appeared, like a long river. Soul power surged in the river, and at a speed invisible to the naked eye, it instantly condensed into one secret sword of ice after another. A cyan-class soul could activate the strongest power of the secret sword of ice. The current Fang Chen could condense 100 secret swords of ice in one go. Bang! Bang! The mutant golden devils who were hit by the secret sword of ice fell to the ground one after another. In the blink of an eye, the 100 mutant golden devils closest to Fang Chen were all dead. The mutant golden devils behind immediately rushed forward, but what greeted them was still the terrifying secret sword of ice. Whoosh! His soul cultivation had reached the early stage of the 5th stage, and the power of the secret sword of ice had reached its peak. Although the mutant golden devils were immune to physical attacks, they were no longer a threat to Fang Chen. Indeed, only on the verge of life and death can one comprehend the fastest, Fang Chen said as he used the secret sword of ice. The little mouse on his shoulder also grinned. In the blink of an eye, thousands of mutant golden devils died. The remaining mutant golden devils finally felt fear. Fear appeared in their eyes, and their bodies kept retreating. Roar! One of the mutant golden devils roared at the sky. Countless mutant golden devils behind also roared at the sky, as if responding. In the end, under Fang Chen's gaze, these mutant golden devils all retreated like the tide. They retreated. The little mouse's eyes flickered. Although they are immune to physical attacks, my secret sword of ice is extremely powerful. I can kill hundreds of them at once. I'm not afraid of them taking turns to fight me, Fang Chen said with a smile. On the 18th floor, the 8 guardians couldn't help but shake their heads. Fang Chen's potential was too monstrous. In the pursuit of life and death, his soul had reached the early stage of the cyan level. He has cultivated for less than 20 years, and his soul has reached the early stage of the cyan level. Even the younger generation of some large forces outside the domain can't compare. As expected of a martial artist who was accepted as a personal disciple by the buried Sword Emperor. It seems that we are about to leave the buried Godsword prison. The 8 guardians discussed with each other. They sighed in their hearts. Fang Chen's appearance gave them great hope. At this moment, a figure floated over. Qin Yang. The 8 guardians saw Qin Yang and nodded slightly. Although Qin Yang wasn't a guardian, his strength was on par with theirs. Furthermore, when Qin Yang had competed for the position of guardian, he had lost to one of the guardians by a small margin. They respected Qin Yang very much. Qin Yang, why are you here? Asked one of the guardians. Temph, only you can look, but I can't, sneered Qin Yang. The 8 guardians understood Qin Yang very well and were used to his attitude. Chapter 947. After passing the 16th level, it was time for the final hurdle, which was the 17th level. Many people thought that the 18th level was the most dangerous. Little did they know that there was no danger at all on the 18th floor. After entering the 17th floor, Fang Chen looked around. Yeah, there's nothing. Fang Chen was puzzled. Logically speaking, the 17th floor should be very dangerous. Boss, something's wrong, Little Mouse suddenly said. Fang Chen frowned and asked, what did you find? I can feel my bloodline moving, the little mouse said. Just as Fang Chen was about to speak, the little mouse's figure suddenly flashed, and then it leaped away. Seeing this, Fang Chen followed closely behind. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the 17th floor, the spirit qi was extremely dense. The faster he moved, the more Fang Chen felt that something was wrong. What happened? Why is there a purple aura in the air here? The purple aura in the air was exactly the same as the purple luster emitted by the little mouse. Could it be that the sky-devouring godly rat that followed Monarch Zongjian was buried here? As he thought of this, Fang Chen felt a little excited. After flying for about an hour, the little mouse stopped in its tracks. When Fang Chen arrived, he was surprised to find a bottomless cliff in front of him. The sky above the cliff was filled with an extremely dense purple aura. When the little mouse saw these auras, its body kept trembling. Boss! Little Mouse's voice was trembling. He had long known that he was a member of the heaven-devouring divine rat clan. However, when the little mouse sensed the purple aura in the cliff, it still felt strange. "Boss, my ancestor might have perished here," the little mouse continued to say. "What did you find?" Fang Chen asked. "I want to enter this place," the little mouse said. "It won't be dangerous, right?" Fang Chen was a little worried. "I have to go in," the little mouse said and entered the cliff. Rumble, the majestic purple aura instantly enveloped the little mouse and then disappeared. As Fang Chen stood on the cliff, he could clearly sense that the purple aura was obstructing him. "I hope you're all right," Fang Chen muttered to himself. Outside the God-burying sword prison, in the whirlpool, the Dark Knight Queen's activities were getting more and more intense. Bang! At a certain moment, a cracking sound could be heard. Then, a vast aura suddenly spread out. After that, all the profound kings, including the palace master, were instantly blasted flying. Poochie, everyone spat out mouthfuls of blood as their faces turned extremely pale. "Palace master, what's going on?" asked one of the profound kings. "The Dark Knight Queen seems to be coming out." The palace master's face was extremely ugly. "Then what should we do?" The group of people was extremely anxious. Once the Dark Knight Queen came out of the God-burying sword prison, it would be the end of the sword burial state. "We must work together to seal it," the palace master said in a deep voice. Dong! Suddenly, the God-burying sword prison trembled more and more violently. It seemed like the Dark Knight Queen was about to come out. "Palace master!" At this moment, 11 experts suddenly appeared in the distance. "Yes." The palace master was overjoyed. "Palace master, what's going on?" asked Zong Jian. "The Dark Knight Queen is about to break out of the seal. We must seal it again." "Palace master, do you have any ideas?" asked Daoist Tianhong. "There's only one way now." The palace master was expressionless. It seemed like he had made a very big decision. "Palace master, could it be?" The ox-nosed old Daoist seemed to have discovered something and asked in shock. The palace master nodded. "The God-burying sword formation." Hearing the words God-burying sword formation, everyone's expression changed greatly. "Palace master, once the God-burying sword formation is used, we'll all be devoured," said a profound king. "The God-burying sword formation is too dangerous. Once it's used, it'll harm others and ourselves," said another profound king. The expressions of Zong Jian and the others also changed. The God-burying sword formation was the sword burial state's forbidden formation. It was the sword burial immortal palace's trump card. It would only be used when the sword burial state was in the most danger. Because the God-burying sword formation was too dangerous, it would consume a lot of energy. If it weren't for the fact that the palace master had no other choice, he wouldn't have used it so easily. "There's no other way." The palace master smiled bitterly. Everyone looked at each other and nodded. "For the sword burial state, we'll go all out." After reaching an agreement, everyone's gaze fell on the palace master. "I'll activate the God-burying sword formation. All of you, pour all your energy into the formation," said the palace master. As soon as the palace master finished speaking, his body trembled. Countless tiny rays of light shot into the whirlpool. Rumble! Immediately, the boundless sword energy in the sword burial state was sucked dry. A ball of light appeared in the palace master's hand. The sword energy contained within the ball of light was 10 times more than the spirit energy in the sword burial state. Activate the God-burying sword formation. The water in the endless ocean instantly evaporated. The whirlpool was exposed to everyone. At this moment, the ball of light in the palace master's hand shot toward the whirlpool. Dong! The earth trembled, and the water in the whirlpool in the dried-up sea suddenly stopped flowing. Then, the boundless sword energy within the ball of light spread out. Crack! Cracks began to appear on the surface of the vortex. The sword energy enveloped the whirlpool, and its movements became smaller and smaller. "Ha ha ha, has it been sealed?" laughed a profound king. "The whirlpool is shattering. The extraterrestrial has been sealed." The faces of the mystic kings were filled with smiles. The God-burying sword formation was too powerful. It had almost sucked all their energy dry. Fortunately, they'd managed to persevere. Dong! However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. The sword energy enveloping the whirlpool suddenly cracked. "Not good." shouted the palace master. He immediately poured all his energy into the god-burying sword formation. Rumble. More than 20 profound kings poured all their energy into the god-burying sword formation. Immediately, the god-burying sword formation erupted with resplendent light, continuing to suppress the whirlpool. Crack. The whirlpool struggled, and cracks appeared on the god-burying sword formation. Fart. Some of the weaker profound kings spat out blood, their faces pale. Their bodies were trembling, and they couldn't hold on any longer. The god-burying sword formation had sucked all their energy dry, and their vitality was fading. Is the sword burial prefecture about to be destroyed? Asked Zongjian expressionlessly. There's no other way. Some mystic kings had already given up. The god-burying sword formation had sucked all their energy dry, but it still couldn't suppress the extraterrestrial. The Dark Night Queen's birth was unstoppable. All the cultivators, including the palace master, had gloomy expressions. They were the top experts of the sword burial prefecture. They were usually high and mighty, but they couldn't protect their home. Even if we die, we have to use our last bit of energy. Suddenly, Zongjian roared. The other profound kings also let out their last shouts. They used all their energy to continue pouring energy into the god-burying sword formation. For the sword burial prefecture, I have no regrets even if I die. A profound king roared loudly, and then charged into the god-burying sword formation. Dong. The entire ground was shaking. This mystic king realm expert had self-destructed. The self-detonation of a profound king was extremely powerful. In an instant, the god-burying sword formation absorbed the power of the self-detonation and grew stronger. The cracks on the sword array were gradually disappearing. Let me. Another mystic king realm expert was exploding. 5 profound kings self-detonated in a row, stabilizing the god-burying sword formation. At this moment, the atmosphere around the whirlpool was incomparably heavy. Everyone's hearts were heavy. Their bodies were extremely weak, and their faces were pale, but they used their last bit of energy to protect the sword burial prefecture. Crack. The god-burying sword formation only lasted for the blink of an eye before cracks appeared again. At this moment, all the cultivators were thoroughly disappointed. The heavens want the sword burial prefecture dead. The palace master laughed miserably. Dong. Another profound king self-detonated, using his life as the price to suppress the extraterrestrial. Let me do it, said the palace master hoarsely. Chapter 948. Palace Lord, you can't. Many profound king realm experts shouted to stop him. The palace lord was the symbol of the sword burial prefecture. Once he died, the prefecture would be destroyed. No matter how many profound kings died, they wouldn't be able to damage the foundation of the sword burial prefecture. Once the palace lord died, the sword burial immortal palace would stop operating. The palace lord resolutely walked toward the whirlpool as he looked at the swaying god burial sword formation. His figure was incomparably lonely. The entire endless ocean was filled with a strong aura of sadness. The faces of Zongjian and the others were also filled with helplessness. Damn it. Some people clenched their fists, hating that they weren't strong enough to kill the Dark Night Queen. Rumble. When the palace lord approached the whirlpool, his aura rose to the peak. This was the aura of self-destruction. Spiritual energy surged in his sea of chi. Palace Lord. All the martial artists cried out loudly, their hearts filled with grief. But it didn't help. In the end, the palace lord stepped into the whirlpool. I'll use my body to return peace to the sword burial prefecture, the palace lord's hoarse voice came from the whirlpool. Let's do it. Sensing the palace lord sacrificing himself to suppress the alien, everyone's emotions were stirred. They released their strongest auras and charged toward the whirlpool. It seemed that these warriors were about to self-destruct. At this moment, the whirlpool suddenly began to tremble. Dong. The whirlpool shook faster and faster until the last person was sent flying out. Palace Lord. Seeing the person on the ground, everyone was shocked and hurried to the palace lord's side. Palace Lord, are you all right? Asked Dark Sword. What's going on? The palace master's face was filled with astonishment. He was clearly about to self-destruct when he was suddenly sent flying out of the vortex by a tyrannical force. Is the Dark Knight Queen about to be born? Thinking of this, the palace lord's face darkened and his heart was filled with sorrow. Daoist Tianhong helped the palace lord up. The palace lord took a step forward and stared at the whirlpool. Is the heavens going to destroy the sword burial prefecture? Asked the palace lord. I'm not late, right? Just as everyone's expression turned solemn, a series of clamorous voices suddenly rang out. Then, 8 figures appeared in front of the vortex. This sudden turn of events caused all the profound kings present, including the palace master, to turn pale with fright. The palace master's face was extremely solemn as he stared at the 8 people. You are the current palace master of the sword burial immortal palace? One of the guardians asked. That's right. May I ask, sir? The palace master asked. At this moment, another figure emerged from the vortex. Qin Yang. Seeing this person, Dark Sword and the others were completely shocked. The newcomer was actually Qin Yang. At this moment, Dark Sword and the others looked at the 8 guardians again. They finally understood. Among the 8 people, one of them was the expert who had forced Qin Yang to retreat. The sword burial prefecture is safe. The 8 ultimate powerful beings burst out laughing. The powers of these powerful beings were so strong that they could not detect them at all. Qin Yang, it's you. The palace master also recognized Qin Yang. Palace master, these 8 people are the guardians of the god-burying sword prison. Step back and let us deal with them, Qin Yang said. He was also a cultivator of the sword burial prefecture. Since the sword burial prefecture was in danger, he would naturally step forward. Hearing this, the palace master and the others nodded heavily and hastily retreated. Their eyes were blazing with desire. Ha ha ha, the sword burial emperor really did leave behind a backup plan, everyone laughed. The 8 guardians joined forces with Qin Yang. The 9 of them attacked together. Immediately, the starlight in the sky became dazzling and a majestic aura spread out. Suppress. When the 9 of them said the word suppress, they directly stretched out their palms. 9 giant handprints, carrying with them an extremely majestic power, came crashing down. Rumble. The god-burying sword prison above the vortex instantly shattered. Then, the 9 large palms pressed down on the vortex. Dong. Under the suppression of the 9 large palms, the struggling vortex slowly sank into the ground. The dangerous aura that had spread out gradually disappeared. Everyone was incomparably excited. With the vortex suppressed, the Dark Knight Queen was unable to come out. The crisis of the sword burial prefecture was over. Seeing this, the 9 of them withdrew their auras and turned to look at the palace master and the others. Thank you for your help, the palace master cupped his hands and said with a grin. No need to thank us. If you want to thank someone, thank Fang Chen, one of the guardians said with a grin. Fang Chen. Hearing the guardian's words, many martial artists, including the palace master, were shocked. May I ask where Fang Chen is? The palace master asked. Whoosh. A ripple appeared in the space, and then a figure appeared. Palace master. Fang Chen's figure appeared. Golden light flowed around his body, and his aura was very powerful. Fang Chen, you. The palace master was very excited when he saw Fang Chen. After greeting the palace master, Fang Chen turned to look at the 9 of them. How is it? The vortex is temporarily suppressed by the 9 of us, and the Dark Knight Queen is unable to come out. However, this is not the best plan, the guardian said. Hearing this, Fang Chen nodded. His deep eyes looked at the place where the vortex disappeared. Leave the rest to me. After Fang Chen finished speaking, he took a step forward and stood in the air above the vortex. He muttered, let's end it here. When everyone saw Fang Chen's imposing figure, they were speechless. Whoosh. A token appeared in Fang Chen's hand. This token was the token that the Zong Sword Emperor had given to Fang Chen before. This token had not been completely activated by Fang Chen before. It was only activated after Fang Chen became the Zong Sword Emperor's inner disciple. The 8 guardians were completely under Fang Chen's command. They were sent by Fang Chen to rescue the palace master and the others, while he was accepting the inheritance. Now that he had accepted the inheritance, it was time to completely kill the Dark Knight Queen. Whoosh! Sword chi and spiritual energy surrounded it. A strange aura shot out from the token and directly into the vortex. Dong! A deafening sound rang out, and a tall tower that reached into the clouds appeared from the vortex. This was the God-burying sword prison. Under Fang Chen's summon, the God-burying sword prison slowly appeared. In the blink of an eye, it was standing above the vortex. There was a terrifying aura around the God-burying sword prison. Fang Chen's wrist shook, and the strange aura in the token directly integrated into the God-burying sword prison. Crack! Then, the God-burying sword prison gradually turned into specks of starlight under everyone's gaze. The God-burying sword prison is broken. How is this possible? The God-burying sword prison is broken. Could this be the means left behind by the Zong Sword Emperor? Many Mystic King realm experts roared. The God-burying sword prison had existed for a long time. But now, it was completely broken. Under everyone's dumbfounded gaze, the God-burying sword prison turned into countless specks of starlight and integrated into the token in Fang Chen's hand. After doing all this, Fang Chen put the token into the vortex. Retreat! Fang Chen bellowed. His figure flickered as he flew out of the endless ocean. Seeing this, everyone flew away quickly. Whoosh! Whoosh! When everyone flew above the endless ocean, there was a heart-wrenching roar from the vortex. The Dark Knight Queen was making a final struggle, but she couldn't resist the power of the token. How could the Dark Knight Queen resist the means left behind by the Zong Sword Emperor? Roar! The entire sword burial prefecture shook. All the martial artists were panicking, not knowing what was going on. Is this the end? Someone roared. The source was in the sky above the endless ocean. As Fang Chen looked at the gradually collapsing boundless sea below, his heart trembled. Even though he had fallen for such a long time, he was still capable of such a feat. It was truly shocking. As expected of Master, Fang Chen said to himself. After Fang Chen accepted the Zong Sword Emperor's inheritance and became his inner disciple, the remnant consciousness of the Zong Sword Emperor completely disappeared. Roar! The roar of the beast became weaker and weaker. In the end, the endless ocean collapsed and turned into nothingness. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The Dark Knight Queen that threatened the sword burial prefecture was finally dead. Everyone was overjoyed and looked at Fang Chen. Chapter 949. The Zong Sword Emperor's methods were too powerful. Just a remnant consciousness was enough to destroy the endless ocean and turn it into nothingness. The Dark Knight Queen, who had been suppressed by the vortex, had also disappeared completely. Everyone returned to the sword burial prefecture when they heard Fang Chen's words. The 8 guardians and Qin Yang also returned together. Fang Chen's eyes flickered when he saw everyone leave. He stared at the empty space below and reached his hand down. Crash! When Fang Chen's hand returned, there was an egg in his hand. Master's words are indeed true, Fang Chen said with a smile. The egg wasn't simple. It was the inner core of the dead Dark Knight Queen. Back in the God Burial Sword Prison, the remnant consciousness of the Zong Sword Emperor had told Fang Chen that the Dark Knight Queen would leave behind an inner core after her death. It told Fang Chen to get the inner core no matter what. If he got the inner core, he might be able to give birth to a new Dark Knight Queen. Fang Chen put the inner core into his interspatial ring and returned to the Sword Burial Prefecture. In the Sword Burial Palace, the 8 guardians obeyed Fang Chen's orders and lived in the Sword Burial Palace to protect the Sword Burial Prefecture. The palace master was excited when he heard the news. 8 peak mystic kings guarding the Sword Burial Prefecture. Who would dare to offend them? As for Qin Yang, he returned to the sect with the ox-nosed old Daoist. With the Dark Knight Queen's death, the Sword Burial Prefecture's crisis was resolved. The entire Sword Burial Prefecture was completely peaceful. After a few words with the palace master, Fang Chen chose a secluded place and began his seclusion. When he received the Zong Sword Emperor's inheritance, Fang Chen's cultivation had already reached the 2nd level of the Mystic King realm. Now, he needed to digest the Zong Sword Emperor's inheritance. Fang Chen sat cross-legged in the secluded place. My soul has reached the peak. My ice secret sword has also reached the peak. Fang Chen muttered to himself. His soul couldn't be improved anymore. In terms of physical body, his sword body had already reached Saint tier. While it might seem like he had reached the pinnacle, there was still room for improvement. Fang Chen had obtained a new body refinement method from the Zong Sword Emperor's inheritance. Great Accomplishment Sword Body. Although it was similar to Minor Success Sword Body, its power was incomparable to that of a Minor Success Sword Body. It was said that if one cultivated the Greater Success Sword physique to the pinnacle, one could shatter the stars and annihilate the starry sky with a single punch. Let's first cultivate the Great Success Sword Body. There was no longer any danger in the Sword Burial Prefecture. Soon, he would be able to leave the Sword Burial Prefecture for the Outlands. But before that, he had to arm himself. He would try his best to make himself stronger. Fang Chen's skin gradually turned bronze as he recited the chant for the Greater Success Sword physique in his mind. Sword chi surged around him, and the sword body was activated. The power unleashed by the saint-level sword body was extremely powerful. Physical body. Fang Chen muttered. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed. During this period of time, Fang Chen had been practicing his Great Success Sword Body. After 3 months, he finally cultivated the Great Success Sword Body to the beginner level. As expected of the cultivation method left by Master. It's so powerful. Fang Chen opened his eyes and couldn't help but sigh. It took him 3 months to cultivate the Great Success Sword Body to the beginner level. It was enough to show how powerful the Great Success Sword Body was. After cultivating the Great Success Sword Body to the beginner level, Fang Chen's skin became more bronze, and his power became more powerful. His sword body had reached the pinnacle of the saint level. His sword body seemed to have reached a bottleneck, so Fang Chen temporarily gave up on cultivating it, and turned to other cultivation methods. In the following time, Fang Chen cultivated the 3 Revolutions Radiant Sword Technique and the Void Meteor Annihilation to the extreme. His strength also skyrocketed as a result. Master didn't leave me many cultivation methods, but they contain his life's comprehension, Fang Chen said. The disciple of the Zong Sword Emperor was definitely different from ordinary people. Although he had accepted the Zong Sword Emperor's inheritance, he didn't obtain any powerful cultivation methods. The most important thing was his life's comprehension. The Zong Sword Emperor's comprehension was very profound. Fang Chen only had a slight comprehension, but it had greatly improved his understanding of the sword principle. Moreover, Fang Chen felt that the Golden Heart was also absorbing the Zong Sword Emperor's comprehension. Thump thump, the Golden Heart's beating trajectory was very strange. Half a year later, the space-time true intent had reached the peak of the 4th grade, and the other true intents had also improved greatly. The biggest improvement was his sword intent, which had reached the 7th grade. As for the darkness intent, it was slightly weaker, reaching the 3rd grade. As for the ice true intent, it was the same as the darkness true intent, reaching the 3rd grade. Fang Chen was very happy that his strength had improved. After cultivating in the Sword Burial Immortal Palace for a year, Fang Chen finally stopped cultivating. One day, he opened his eyes, and a sword-shaped token appeared in his hand. This was given to him by his master, the Zong Sword Emperor. Before his master completely disappeared, he said that when he had the strength to step into the place where the immortals lived, he could use this token to find his wife. In short, this token was useless in the early stage. If I go all out now, I won't be afraid of a 6th-level Mystic King Realm martial artist. Fang Chen thought to himself. The thing that made him the happiest was the space-time true intent. The space-time true intent was mentioned in the Zong Sword Emperor's inheritance. This kind of true intent was very powerful, and there weren't many who had this kind of true intent in the entire universe. It was very difficult to increase the grade of a true intent. Through the guidance of the Zong Sword Emperor's inheritance, the space-time true intent had reached the peak of the 4th grade. He had completely grasped the time stop, and he had already touched a trace of the concept of time acceleration. He had also completely grasped the space shuttle. Once the space-time true intent was used, low-level Mystic King Realm martial artists wouldn't be able to resist at all. Even a mid-level Mystic King Realm martial artist would be caught off guard and fall for it. After cultivating in seclusion for a year, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Fang Chen, you've come out of seclusion. The palace master immediately sensed that Fang Chen had come out of seclusion and came to ask. Fang Chen nodded. How is the sword burial prefecture? After a year of recuperation, the sword burial prefecture has recovered to its previous state. In fact, it's even stronger than before. If this continues, the sword burial prefecture will definitely grow stronger, said the palace master. What about the 8 protectors? Asked Fang Chen. The 8 protectors are in seclusion, said the palace master. Fang Chen nodded and then notified the 8 protectors to come to the immortal palace. A moment later, the 8 protectors came out of seclusion. Fang Chen, you've come out of seclusion. The 8 protectors had called Fang Chen their master, but Fang Chen had tried his best to dissuade them, telling them to just call him by name. Although they called him by name, there was a clear master-servant relationship. The 8 protectors were completely loyal to Fang Chen. I've already received my master's inheritance. I'm about to leave the sword burial prefecture for the outer realms, said Fang Chen. Once I leave, I hope the 8 of you can protect the sword burial prefecture. The only thing Fang Chen was worried about was Qin Yang. If Qin Yang wanted to seize power, only the 8 protectors would be able to stop him. Don't worry. With the 8 of us here, unless it's an expert surpassing the profound king realm, they won't be able to pose any threat to the immortal palace. Fang Chen nodded when he heard this. Fang Chen, are you really going to leave the sword burial prefecture? Asked one of the protectors. Isn't that a bit too hasty? Asked another protector. Actually, with your talent, once you reach the peak of the profound king realm, it'll be easier for you to go to the outer realms. Although none of them had gone to the outer realms, they knew how dangerous it was. With Fang Chen's potential, he could definitely reach the peak of the profound king realm before leaving. Fang Chen shook his head. The martial path is a path that defies the heavens. Once you lack passion, you'll gradually lose yourself. But now, there was no danger in the sword burial prefecture. Fang Chen stood at the peak of the sword burial prefecture. Without the slightest pressure, Fang Chen's cultivation base had stagnated. If he wanted to get stronger, he had to compete with other geniuses. If he continued to stay in the sword burial prefecture, his cultivation base would definitely continue to grow. But that wasn't the life Fang Chen wanted. He still had to find a wife and a mother. He couldn't afford that. Fang Chen, I've long since seen that your stage won't be limited to the sword burial prefecture. I hope you'll be able to shine in the outer realms, said the palace master. Chapter 950. The burial sword state had a very strong seal. When the burial sword emperor died, his body turned into the burial sword state to protect it. The burial sword state had existed for countless years, but no cultivator had ever been able to leave the burial sword state. It would be very difficult for Fang Chen to leave the burial sword state. Of course, as the direct disciple of the burial sword emperor, how could he not have a way to leave? When Fang Chen received the burial sword emperor's inheritance, he already knew the way to leave the burial sword state. However, it would be very difficult for Fang Chen. Even with his current strength, it would take a lot of effort. However, Fang Chen was almost invincible in the azure cloud domain. There was no point in continuing to cultivate. Fang Chen told the palace master of the burial sword immortal palace to merge with the 3 continents of the azure cloud domain. The palace master immediately decided that the burial sword state would head to the 3 continents every once in a while to take in disciples with great potential. Somewhere in the sky of the burial sword state, a few cultivators stood on a white cloud. The leader was the palace master of the burial sword immortal palace. Behind him, the 8 guardians stood side by side. Even Qin Yang had come. As for the 8 extreme powerhouses, Lu Jingyun, and the others, they didn't come. Everyone present, be it in terms of strength or status, was superior to them. Fang Chen, you must be careful when you go there. The palace master looked at Fang Chen, who was at the end of the clouds, and warned him. I will. Fang Chen nodded. Since the burial sword emperor has chosen you, we believe that you will be able to restore the burial sword emperor's glory, the 8 guardians said. Qin Yang's eyes were strange, and he exuded a strange aura. However, He didn't say a word. Everyone stood there quietly as they sent Fang Chen off. Farewell, Azure Cloud Domain. Fang Chen took one last look at the Azure Cloud Domain before his figure flashed and disappeared into the clouds. The Palace Master and the others waved at the clouds before turning around and leaving. The burial sword state was at the edge of the Azure Cloud Domain. As long as they could break through the seal of the Sword Burial Prefecture, they would have a chance of entering the Outer Realm. This time, Fang Chen was heading to a star in the sky of the Burial Sword Prefecture. The star was formed by the eyes of the Zongjian monarch. Normally, it would emit a blinding glow. While displaying the space-time true intent, Fang Chen's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he approached this star. So hot. Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. His forehead was full of sweat, and his whole body was soaked. The stars formed by Zong Sword Emperor's eyes were extremely hot. Fang Chen's body was enveloped in black flames, but he still felt hot. However, it was a good thing that his sword body had reached the peak of the saint level, so he was able to withstand it. Whoosh! Finally, after much effort, Fang Chen arrived at the star. The huge star was like a desert, stretching as far as the eye could see. Everywhere on this piece of land was filled with scorching hot flames. A small mortal continent, Fang Chen said softly. The size of the star was beyond the imagination of mortals. The star in front of him was formed by the eyes of the Zongjian monarch. It was a fake star. Strictly speaking, it couldn't be considered a star. The exit is on this star, Fang Chen muttered to himself with a thought. The flame aura on this star was extremely strong. Even a high-level mystic king realm martial artist couldn't get close to it. If he hadn't received his master's inheritance and had his master's aura, he wouldn't have been able to get close to it. Boss, I'll look for it with you. Little Mouse suddenly appeared and said with a smile. When they were on the 17th level of the God-burying sword prison, Little Mouse merged with the skeleton of the Zongjian monarch's heaven-devouring divine rat and absorbed its inheritance. Until now, Little Mouse was the only heaven-devouring divine rat in the universe. After receiving the inheritance, it activated its bloodline. As a result, Little Mouse's strength skyrocketed. After stepping into the Mystic King realm, Little Mouse's body was so tough that it could easily block Fang Chen's full-strength attack. This made Fang Chen even more shocked. Of course, it wasn't just its body that was tough. Little Mouse's innate ability was even more heaven-defying. If one wasn't a soul cultivator who specialized in soul cultivation, it would be even more difficult to block Little Mouse's innate ability. Fang Chen nodded when he heard this. Then, the man and mouse split up and quickly searched. There was no one on the star. It was endless. While Fang Chen and Little Mouse were searching for the exit, a figure quietly approached the star. Who would have thought that the Void Breaker Pearl would contain such a treasure? The Icefire Monarch revealed a sinister smile. Back in the Five-Element Sword City, he had obtained the Void Breaker Pearl. After that, he bade farewell to everyone and left in a hurry. Now, the Icefire Monarch had an evil aura and his eyes were scarlet. Splash! The Icefire Monarch stepped onto the star. I hope I can leave this godforsaken place, the Icefire Monarch said sinisterly. Then, the Void Breaker Pearl appeared in the Icefire Monarch's hand and he squeezed it hard. Suddenly, a wild aura spread out and enveloped the Icefire Monarch. If anyone was here, they would definitely be shocked. The Icefire Monarch disappeared into the void, and no one could detect a trace of his aura. Hiding in the void, the Icefire Monarch quietly moved forward. After a while, he saw Fang Chen and Little Mouse. Fang Chen, when you find the exit, I will kill you, the Icefire Monarch thought to himself. At this moment, Fang Chen, who was looking for the exit on the star, suddenly felt that something was wrong. He turned his head and looked into the distance. Boss, what's wrong? Little Mouse walked over and asked. Fang Chen frowned slightly, and his eyes were filled with doubt. When he heard Little Mouse's question, he shook his head slightly and said, nothing. Let's continue looking. In the following time, Fang Chen and Little Mouse searched the entire star. Finally, at the edge of the star, they found a dry well. Boss, this dry well is emitting a strange aura. It seems to be different from the aura of the Burial Sword Prefecture, Little Mouse said in a deep voice. Fang Chen stood in front of the dry well and could clearly feel that there was an aura coming out of the dry well. Could this be the aura of the extraterritorial region? Fang Chen had never seen such an aura before. The spiritual qi contained in this aura was countless times stronger than that of the burial sword prefecture. It must be here. Fang Chen was overjoyed. Boss, are we going in directly? Little Mouse asked. Just as Fang Chen was about to speak, the Ice Fire Monarch suddenly appeared out of thin air. Fang Chen, it's time for you to die. As soon as the Ice Fire Monarch finished speaking, the true intents of ice and fire spread out. Then, an evil aura emerged from the void-breaking pearl, and a powerful attack shot toward Fang Chen. Courting death. Seeing the Ice Fire Monarch appear, Fang Chen sneered. He used the 3 revolutions radiant sword art, and a majestic radiant swordlight fiercely collided with the Ice Fire Monarch's attack. Crack. The radiant swordlight was actually destroyed by the Ice Fire Monarch's attack. At this moment, Fang Chen realized that something was wrong with the Ice Fire Monarch. Are you surprised? The Ice Fire Monarch paused for a moment, then looked down at Fang Chen and sneered. You're not the Ice Fire Monarch, Fang Chen said in a deep voice. That's right, I'm not the Ice Fire Monarch. Back then, I was lucky enough to not die. Then I possessed the Ice Fire Monarch's body and snuck into the sword burial prefecture. Because I was too heavily injured, my cultivation base dropped. After these years of cultivation, my cultivation base has finally recovered to the profound King realm. And now, it's time for me to return to the outer firmament. Fang Chen's heart sank when he heard the Icefire King's words. He hadn't expected this person to be able to endure for so long. It seemed he had some secret technique to extend his lifespan. If you want to kill me, you'll have to pay the price, said Fang Chen. You have a spatial true intent, but so do I. What advantage do you have in front of me? Sneered the Icefire Monarch. The void-breaking pearl activated, and the Icefire Monarch instantly vanished. What advantage do I have? Fang Chen sneered and used his true intent of space-time. Dong. Time stopped. With Fang Chen as the center, the surrounding time stopped. The Icefire Monarch's body gradually appeared, his face filled with shock. The Icefire Monarch struggled. He had never expected Fang Chen's spatial true intent to be able to seal space. Even so, what can we do? Chapter 951. Whoosh. The Icefire King struggled out of time stop and quickly retreated. Fang Chen's time stop had a limited range. As long as he wasn't within its range, he wouldn't have to fear it. But this made it impossible for him to get close to him. Brat, I didn't expect you to have time-type true intent. I'll have to kill you. Time-type true intents were at least high-grade true intents. There might even be transcendent-grade true intents. Fang Chen came from the sword burial prefecture. He couldn't let such a monstrous talent live. You'll be the one to die. Fang Chen didn't know how the Icefire King's cultivation had suddenly risen to the 6th level of the profound King realm. But Fang Chen wasn't afraid. Die. The Icefire King roared and used a long-range attack. A spear appeared in the sky and pierced through the void, shooting toward Fang Chen. Void Meteor Annihilation. Fang Chen used the Void Meteor Annihilation. He only raised his hand slightly, and the void was torn apart. The Void Meteor Annihilation's power reached its peak at this moment. Crack. The Icefire King's spear was shattered by the Void Meteor Annihilation. The Icefire King couldn't help but retreat a few steps. He turned his head and saw Drywell behind him. Damn it! The Icefire King roared in his heart. He was incomparably crazy, wanting to kill Fang Chen. Void Meteor Annihilation. When Fang Chen used the Void Meteor Annihilation, the little mouse also used its innate ability. Roar. A bestial roar resounded through the sky. In the next moment, a terrifying suction force spread out and enveloped the Icefire King's body. No. The Icefire King instantly felt fear. This suction force was forcefully pulling his body and absorbing his soul. How is this possible? The Icefire King had never dreamed that Fang Chen's spiritual pet would be so strong. No, I can't die. He was about to regain his freedom. At this crucial moment, how could he let all his previous efforts go to waste? Bang! In the blink of an eye, the Icefire King chopped down with his palm and cut off one of his arms. While the attractive force of his innate ability instantly enveloped the severed arm. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the Icefire King jumped directly into the dry well. Not good. Fang Chen exclaimed inwardly. Using the true meaning of space and time, he arrived in front of the dried well in an instant. The dry well trembled, and a majestic aura was emitted from it. Retreat! Fang Chen yelled as he quickly retreated. When Fang Chen and the little mouse retreated to a distant peak, a deafening voice resounded in the sky. Dong, there was an explosion in the well. The power of the explosion was even stronger than the self-destruction of a profound King Realm martial practitioner. Crack! The dry well was instantly submerged in the sea of fire. Fang Chen's face twitched when he saw this. The dry well was the path to the outer realm. How could it be destroyed? Boss, what should we do? After a long while, the explosive force in the well gradually dissipated. The area within 100 miles of the dry well was a complete mess. Fang Chen and the little mouse arrived in front of the dry well. They saw that the dry well had already collapsed into ruins. They could vaguely see a 5-colored altar inside the dry well. There were a few bones on the altar. Could it be that after the baptism of time, something happened to the dry well? Thinking of this, Fang Chen felt a wave of lingering fear. If the Icefire King hadn't appeared, perhaps he and the little mouse would have already entered the dry well. But now, the Icefire King had rushed into the dry well and wanted to go to the outer realm, but he had been blown to pieces. The dry well has been destroyed. How are we going to leave? Asked the little mouse anxiously. Fang Chen stared at the 5-colored altar in the ruins and pondered. After a long while, Fang Chen walked into the ruins and cleaned up the ruins around the 5-colored altar. That explosion just now would have killed even a peak-profound king. But this 5-colored altar is completely fine. Just what kind of material is it made of? The little mouse opened its mouth and prepared to gnaw on one of the stones on the altar. Don't! Fang Chen hastily stopped it. This 5-colored altar should be the path to the outer realm. It couldn't be easily touched. Boss, this 5-colored altar seems to be damaged, said the little mouse. Fang Chen also noticed that one of the corners of the 5-colored altar was missing a small piece. Could it be that something like that happened because the 5-colored altar was damaged? Fang Chen was puzzled. In the end, Fang Chen and the little mouse decided to search for materials to repair the 5-colored altar. Boss, the materials on the 5-colored altar are so hard. Where are we supposed to find them? Fang Chen felt a headache coming on. Even such a powerful explosion hadn't been able to damage the 5-colored altar. Where were they supposed to find such materials? Let's give it a try, said Fang Chen. But right at this moment, the little mouse's paw touched the damaged corner of the 5-colored altar. Crash! The 5-colored altar's corner was too sharp. It immediately cut through the little mouse's paw. A drop of blood fell onto the 5-colored altar. Are you all right? Fang Chen and the little mouse hadn't noticed the changes to the 5-colored altar. I'm fine. Let's go, said the little mouse. Fang Chen and the little mouse left the 5-colored altar and began to search for materials. After searching for half a month, they didn't find anything. This made Fang Chen and the little mouse speechless. Boss, how about we try it? The little mouse whispered as it held a nimble bird in its paw. Fang Chen nodded. Apart from this, there was no other way. This nimble bird was a mutated nimble bird. It lived on this star all year round and its body contained the aura of the true meaning of fire. While the little mouse was searching for materials, it caught the nimble bird and prepared to let it test the 5-colored altar. Before long, the two arrived in front of the 5-colored altar. The scene in front of them shocked Fang Chen and the little mouse. At this moment, the small disc on the 5-colored altar was actually spinning on its own. What's going on? The little mouse asked in surprise. The 5-colored altar was damaged and couldn't be activated. Why was it spinning on its own now? Even Fang Chen was a bit puzzled. Fang Chen walked forward and stared at the 5-colored altar. He found that it was operating normally. What's going on? Fang Chen whispered. No matter what, let's give it a try, said the little mouse. Fang Chen nodded. The little mouse threw the nimble bird into the small disc on the five-colored altar. Crash! With a flash of white light, the nimble bird disappeared. Seeing this, Fang Chen hastily released his spiritual force to check on the nimble bird. Success! Fang Chen's face was filled with excitement. His spiritual force was unable to detect the nimble bird's aura. Ha ha ha, it really worked. The little mouse was extremely excited. Boss, let's go. The little mouse was already impatient to step onto the five-colored altar, but Fang Chen was incomparably cautious. Boss, since the nimble bird was able to succeed, the five-colored altar should be operating normally, said the little mouse. Fang Chen hesitated for a long time and then looked for several more mutated nimble birds to test. The 6 mutated nimble birds were all successful. At this time, Fang Chen finally made his decision. Let's go, said Fang Chen. At this time, somewhere in the outer region of the universe. Suddenly, a ripple appeared out of thin air, followed by the appearance of a nimble bird. Poochie. The nimble bird appeared in an unfamiliar place and was a little alarmed. However, it was immediately stunned by the extremely dense spiritual qi. Where is this place? The nimble bird excitedly shouted in its heart. It then spread its wings and flew into the distance. After the nimble bird flew away, the other 5 nimble birds appeared. The 6 nimble birds were supposed to live their entire lives in the star formed by the Zongjian Emperor's eyes. However, they were accidentally thrown into the five-colored altar by the little mouse, allowing them to come to a place with such dense spiritual qi. The 6 nimble birds secretly remembered Fang Chen and the little mouse in their hearts. On the five-colored altar, Fang Chen and the little mouse slowly stood on the altar. However, at this time, the altar's speed slowed down a lot. What's going on? Fang Chen's heart sank. He was a little worried. I'm not sure, said the little mouse. Buzz. A soft sound came from the altar. In the next moment, a white light flashed and the man and the mouse disappeared. Chapter 952. When the man and mouse disappeared from the five-colored altar, the altar instantly stopped operating. Then, cracks began to appear on the incomparably hard five-colored altar. Crack. The cracks grew bigger and bigger until the five-colored altar exploded. Bones scattered on the ground as if they had existed since ancient times. If the little mouse was here, it would definitely be shocked. That was because these bones had the same aura as its body. It didn't even need to think to know that the reason why the five-colored altar was so hard was because the materials used to create it were the bones of the heaven-devouring god rat that had followed Emperor Zongjian. The five-colored altar seemed to have completed its mission. The bones on the ground disappeared from the star. The entire star returned to its desolate state. At this time, a man and a mouse suddenly appeared in a certain space in the outerverse. Boss, is this the outerverse? The little mouse hastily looked around and asked excitedly. The outerverse was a place that countless cultivators from the mortal continent yearned for. And now, they had relied on their own efforts to finally arrive at the outerverse. Fang Chen carefully looked around and said, the spiritual qi is very abundant, and the laws are complete. This is the outerverse. The little mouse asked, Boss, where are we going now? This place was a void that stretched as far as the eye could see. They didn't know where to go next. Before Fang Chen could finish speaking, a tyrannical aura enveloped this place. Then a cold voice rang out in Fang Chen's ears. The 2 of you, quickly come and report. Hearing this voice, Fang Chen's heart shook. Boss. The little mouse also heard this cold voice. It raised its guard and looked at Fang Chen worriedly. Let's go. Fang Chen pondered for a moment, then brought the little mouse and quickly flew forward. The gravity is so strong. After flying for a while, Fang Chen felt that his body was incomparably heavy and he was gasping for breath. He had comprehended the space-time true intent, so flying was nothing to him. In the mortal continent, he could even use the space-time true intent to teleport. But in the outerverse, it was so difficult for him to fly. As expected of the outerverse. Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. The outerverse wasn't something the mortal continent could compare to. Here, the laws were complete, the spiritual qi was abundant, and the gravity was countless times stronger than the mortal continent. Profound King Realm experts would probably only possess the lowest level of combat strength here. While Fang Chen was deep in thought, he unknowingly arrived at an empty land. Fang Chen and the little mouse's figure. Interesting. A man in armor said thoughtfully with a smirk on his face. Fang Chen carefully observed his surroundings and discovered that there was a void teleportation door here. There were 4 men in armor standing in front of the void transfer gate. Their auras were extremely sharp. According to Fang Chen's guess, these 4 people were at least high-level Mystic King Realm martial artists. Brat, this is Scar Island. Since you've rushed out of the mortal continent and come here, you have to abide by the rules here, the slightly plump armored man said in a deep voice. Scar Island. Fang Chen knew nothing about the outside world. This was the first time he had heard of Scar Island. However, he still nodded. Senior. Just as Fang Chen was about to ask, he was stopped by the armored man. Shut up. Don't talk nonsense when you're not supposed to. Hearing this, Fang Chen obediently shut his mouth. Even the little mouse quietly stood on Fang Chen's shoulder. The 4 of us are the guards of the Void Transportation Gate. Every martial art practitioner from the mortal continent will come to Mark Island through the Void Transportation Gate, the skinny armored man explained. When Fang Chen heard this, he frowned slightly, feeling a little confused. According to this person, every martial art practitioner from the mortal continent would pass through the Void Transportation Gate. Why didn't he pass through here? However, the armored man's next words resolved the doubts in Fang Chen's heart. Although it's an iron law that one can only leave the mortal continent through the Void Transportation Gate. However, every once in a while, there will be some amazing geniuses who can rely on their own strength to break through the restrictions of the mortal continent and come here, the skinny armored man said. Fang Chen understood when he heard this. It seemed like they didn't know about the method left behind by Emperor Zongjian that led to the outside world. According to the rules of Scar Island, if you discover a genius who relied on his own strength to break through the restrictions of the mortal continent and come here, you will receive a reward of 10,000 purple crystals. As he spoke, the armored man handed over 10,000 purple crystals to Fang Chen. Fang Chen was overjoyed when he saw this. He had already spent all his purple crystals. He had just come to the outside world and needed purple crystals. Thank you, seniors. Fang Chen put away the purple crystals and thanked them respectfully. The expressions of the 4 eased a little when they saw this. Which domain are you from? The armored man with a pointed mouth and ape-like chin asked. I'm from the Qingyun domain, Fang Chen said. Hearing this, a trace of astonishment flashed across the faces of the 4 people. Obviously, they didn't expect Fang Chen to be from the Qingyun domain. However, their expressions calmed down in an instant. They nodded and the armored man took out a small booklet. He handed it to Fang Chen and said, "This booklet is an introduction to Scar Island. Read it carefully." The rules of Scar Island were strict. Once one violated the rules, death was inevitable. Many martial art practitioners from the mortal continent died because they accidentally violated the rules. After that, the 4 registered Fang Chen's name and identity information and gave Fang Chen a token. Okay, with this token, you can freely move about Scar Island. What happens next depends on your luck, the plump armored man said. Fang Chen cupped his hands in thanks and left with Little Mouse. Looking at Fang Chen's departing figure, the 4 armored men looked at each other. Boss, it's been a long time since a martial art practitioner came out of the Qingyun domain. This kid is so young and can rely on his own efforts to come out. If he doesn't die prematurely, he will have great achievements in the future. The 4 armored martial art practitioners chatted with each other. After flying for a while, Fang Chen saw a city. Sky Sword Mansion. Above the city, there was a golden plaque with the words Sky Sword Mansion written on it. It was powerful and imposing. Boss, the Sky Sword Mansion is so big. I can't see the end of it, Little Mouse said with a smile as he looked into the distance. Let's go. Let's go in first, Fang Chen said. Then, Fang Chen and Little Mouse easily entered the Sky Sword Mansion through the token. The streets of the Sky Sword Mansion were filled with Mystic King Realm martial art practitioners. What a strong aura. The martial art practitioners walking on the streets had strong auras. Fang Chen's arrival did not attract their attention at all. A Mystic King Realm martial art practitioner is already considered a top expert in the mortal continent. In the extraterritorial domain, he's at the bottom, Little Mouse said with a smirk. Fang Chen sighed. However, at the same time, his heart was burning with passion. To pursue the peak of martial arts, one had to constantly fight with geniuses. On the edge of life and death, one had to comprehend the true essence of martial arts. The extraterritorial domain was obviously more suitable for Fang Chen. As a newcomer, Fang Chen wanted to find a place to stay and study the rules in the booklet. The rules of Scar Island were strict. Fang Chen did not want to be killed for violating the rules. Therefore, he had to thoroughly study the rules in order to survive. Just as Fang Chen was about to leave, a commotion suddenly appeared in front of him. In the next moment, Fang Chen hurriedly walked to the front of the crowd. At this moment, two Mystic King Realm martial art practitioners were fighting in the crowd. An ant from the mortal continent dares to attack me? You're courting death. The white-clothed man with a folding fan sneered in disdain when he saw the opponent's attack. Rumble. The battle between the two was extremely intense. Although the white-clothed man with a folding fan was from the extraterritorial domain, his strength was comparable to the martial art practitioner from the mortal continent. Neither of them could defeat the other. How dare you bully me? I'll definitely destroy you. The martial art practitioner from the mortal continent was in high spirits as he roared. However, at this moment, a large group of guards rushed over. Chapter 953. Who dares to cause trouble in the Heavenly Sword Mansion? The leader of the guards scolded loudly. There were over 100 of these guards, and each one of them was a profound king. Their auras were astonishing. Seeing their arrival, the white-clothed man with a folding fan revealed a smile. Ant, it's time for you to die. People from the outer realms are only SOSO, sneered the mortal continent cultivator. When the guards arrived, the white-robed man hastily cupped his hands and said, Lord Guard, this person is rude and unreasonable. He attacked me. Why did you attack him in the Heavenly Sword Mansion? The guard leader icily asked the mortal continent cultivator. He bullied me. Can't I retaliate? Openly attacking someone in the Heavenly Sword Mansion is a violation of the rules. Only death awaits you, said the guard leader emotionlessly. As he spoke, the guard leader extended his hand and directly suppressed the mortal continent cultivator. He also attacked me. Why is it unfair for me to be punished? The mortal continent cultivator was also a bit anxious. He has a cultivation rank and can attack in the Heavenly Sword Mansion. But you can't. After saying that, the huge hand pressed down, and the cultivators of the mortal continent were instantly killed. Seeing this scene, Fang Chen sighed. Those who can come from the mortal continent to the outer realms are all outstanding geniuses. How could they be bullied by others? Fang Chen thought to himself. It seems this person didn't carefully read the booklet. Only death awaited those who violated the rules. After this matter, Fang Chen became even more cautious. After the guards left, the spectators all dispersed. Boss, those guards are really tyrannical, said the little mouse. Of course. If these guards were placed in any of the mortal continents, they would be able to reign supreme, Fang Chen said. But in the Heavenly Sword Mansion, they were only guards of the City Lord's mansion. But boss, what is the cultivation rank the guard leader spoke of? Can you attack as you please with a cultivation rank? The little mouse blinked and smiled. Fang Chen shook his head, indicating that he did not know. After the crowd dispersed, Fang Chen took the little mouse and found a cheaper inn to stay in. A night's stay costs 100 purple crystals. If you rent it for a month, you'll have to pay 3,000 purple crystals, the waiter said. Is there an independent courtyard? Fang Chen asked. It was too noisy here, and he preferred silence. We do, but it's a little expensive, the waiter said. An independent courtyard costs 8,000 purple crystals a month. Fang Chen nodded and paid 8,000 violet crystals before being led to an independent courtyard by the waiter. Before arriving at the courtyard, Fang Chen's face revealed a look of surprise. Sir, the independent courtyards of our inn all have formations that gather spiritual energy. The spiritual energy is very rich, the waiter said. Fang Chen nodded and entered. Boss, the spiritual energy in this courtyard is more than 10 times richer than in the Burial Sword Prefecture. As expected of the extraterritorial region, the little mouse said excitedly, jumping up and down. Fang Chen suppressed the excitement in his heart, sat on the stone stool, and took out a small booklet. Let's take a look at the contents of the booklet first. In the following time, Fang Chen began to carefully read the contents of the booklet. It took him a total of 3 days to finish reading all the information in the booklet. After 3 days, Fang Chen put down the booklet with a smile on his face. The booklet recorded in the vast universe, there was a void sea. The various islands in the void sea were the residences of martial artists. Scar Island was a small island in the vast universe. Although it was a small island, it was tens of thousands of times larger than the ancient Sword Continent. A Mystic King Realm martial artist would need a year to cover the entire Scar Island if they flew at full speed. Scar Island had 72 regions, and the Qingyun domain was one of them. Each region was made up of many mortal continents. For example, the Qingyun domain only had 3 mortal continents. As for the other regions, some had more than 10 mortal continents. Scar Island was divided into 24 prefectures, and each prefecture controlled the void portal of 3 different regions. The void portal of the Qingyun domain, where Fang Chen was, belonged to the Demon Cloud Prefecture. The Demon Cloud Prefecture was one of the 24 prefectures of Scar Island. Within the Demon Cloud Prefecture, there were void portals of 3 different regions, including the Qingyun domain. Among the 24 prefectures, the Demon Cloud Prefecture's strength was considered below average. Within the Demon Cloud Prefecture, there were 8 prefectures. Each prefecture controlled a vast amount of land. The Sky Sword Prefecture was one of the 8 prefectures of the Demon Cloud Prefecture, and it happened to be one of the prefectures that controlled the void portal of the Qingyun domain. The highest authority of the Sky Sword Prefecture was the City Lord Prefecture, which directly belonged to the Demon Cloud Prefecture. Within the prefecture, there were 4 major armies that protected the Sky Sword Prefecture. The army that Fang Chen saw before was one of them. Within the Sky Sword Prefecture, one could not casually attack unless one had a rank. What was a rank? A rank was when some cultivators with boundless potential were chosen by the prefectures of the Demon Cloud Prefecture and absorbed into the Demon Cloud Prefecture. Once they became a member of the prefecture, they would have a rank. Ranks were also divided into high and low ranks. The white-clothed man with a folding fan had only been absorbed by the Sky Sword Prefecture and had the lowest rank, the 9th rank. Even so, he was still able to act brazenly on the streets and not be punished. The size of the universe outside is simply unimaginable. Fang Chen sighed inwardly. In the vast universe, there were countless small islands, and Scar Island was only one of them. If Scar Island was so large, then how big was the universe? At the very least, Fang Chen could not touch the level of the universe at this stage. After thinking for a moment, Fang Chen's mood calmed down. He had just arrived at the extraterritorial domain, and everything had to start over. He could not bite off more than he could chew. Only by surviving would he have the opportunity to improve his cultivation. If you want to survive in the Sky Sword Prefecture, the fastest way is to have a rank. Fang Chen's eyes shone with a golden light as he muttered to himself. It was very difficult to be absorbed by the Sky Sword Prefecture. The Sky Sword Mansion was vast and had countless Mystic King Realm martial artists. There were very few geniuses that could be absorbed by the prefecture. The common currency of the universe was purple crystal and purple crystal soul stone. Of course, in a place like the Sky Sword Prefecture, purple crystal was the common currency and purple crystal soulstone was very rare. However, just as Fang Chen was thinking, he suddenly thought of the master of Sky-Piercing Peak, the Sky-Piercing Island Master. Sky-Piercing Island Master, Scar Island. Thinking of this, Fang Chen's consciousness entered Sky-Piercing Peak. Master. The half-beast man and the artifact spirit cupped their hands when they saw Fang Chen appear. I want to ask you something, said Fang Chen. Master, please speak, said the artifact spirit. Why is the master of Sky-Piercing Peak called the Sky-Piercing Island Master? Asked Fang Chen. The artifact spirit directly said, "Master, there is a small island in the universe called Sky-Piercing Island. The old master was the master of Sky-Piercing Island, and his strength was heaven-defying." As expected, Fang Chen's guess was correct. Sky-Piercing Island was the same as Scar Island. It was also a small island in the universe. "Master, why are you suddenly asking about this? Could it be that you've left the mortal continent and arrived in the universe?" the artifact spirit suddenly asked excitedly. The half-beast man also looked at Fang Chen with burning eyes. Fang Chen nodded, not hiding anything. "I've left the Qingyun territory. I'm currently in a prefecture city in the Demon Cloud State, which is under Scar Island," Fang Chen said. Scar Island. The artifact spirit and half-beast man were very excited. Although Fang Chen was currently on Scar Island, he had at least successfully left the mortal continent. "Master, if you have the chance, you can go to Sky-Piercing Island." The old master was the master of Sky-Piercing Island. Although he has died, the old master's trusted subordinates are still on Sky-Piercing Island. "Do you know the distance between Sky-Piercing Island and Scar Island?" asked Fang Chen. The artifact spirit shook its head. "I don't know, but it should be very far. I once heard the old master say that the universe is very vast, and the distance between each island is also very far. The closest island is at least 100 million miles away." Fang Chen was stunned when he heard this. The universe was much larger than he had imagined. "I won't be able to leave Scar Island for a while." Chapter 954. Every martial artist who broke through the mortal continent with their own strength would be rewarded with 10,000 purple crystals. Although 10,000 purple crystals wasn't much. However, Fang Chen was only left with 2,000 purple crystals after paying 8,000 purple crystals. "I need to find a way to get some purple crystals," Fang Chen thought to himself. Without purple crystals, not only would he be unable to cultivate, but he wouldn't even have a place to stay. If there was no other way, he could only accept some missions. In the Sky Sword Mansion, there were some special forces that specialized in issuing missions. As long as a martial artist completed a mission, they would be able to obtain the corresponding purple crystals. After reading the booklet, Fang Chen had some understanding of the extraterritorial realm. Of course, it was just the Scar Island. Fang Chen didn't know anything about the world outside of the Scar Island. The extraterritorial realm was too vast. Even an almighty wouldn't be able to travel to every place in the extraterritorial realm. Just the Scar Island alone was unimaginably huge. The extraterritorial realm's cultivation system was basically the same as the mortal continents. However, the strongest realm in the mortal continent was the Mystic King realm. It was only the lowest realm in the extraterritorial realm. Above the Mystic King realm, there was the powerful Heaven Star Border realm. It was said that Heaven Star Border realm experts could absorb heaven and earth's vital energy to strengthen themselves. They could release a large amount of vital energy to attack their enemies invisibly. Of course, the Heaven Star Border realm was still a little far away for Fang Chen. 3 days later, Fang Chen was in the middle of meditating when the waiter suddenly rushed in. "Sir, I've heard some news." The waiter looked at Fang Chen and hurriedly said. For the past few days, Fang Chen had given the waiter some purple crystals as a tip to ask about the City Lord Mansion. When the waiter came in, Fang Chen opened his eyes and asked, "What news?" "Dear customer, just 3 days ago, the Sky Sword Mansion's first army was carrying out a mission and suffered disastrous casualties. Just today, the mansion master of the Sky Sword Mansion personally released the news that he wants to recruit some geniuses into the first army," said the waiter. Fang Chen's eyes lit up. The number 1 army of the Sky Sword Mansion was recruiting geniuses. Wasn't this an opportunity for him? Soon after, he continued to ask, "When will you recruit them?" "Sir, I've already asked around for you. The registration date is today." Then, the waiter explained the details of the registration to Fang Chen. After that, Fang Chen left the courtyard and headed for the Sky Sword Mansion. Although the Sky Sword Mansion was called a mansion, it had a vast territory and a large area of jurisdiction. Within the Sky Sword Mansion, there was a mansion. This was the City Master's mansion. Outside the gates of the City Lord's mansion, there was a small martial arts arena. This martial arts stage was usually used to issue missions. Today, the martial arts practice platform was packed with martial artists. All the warriors' eyes were filled with passion as they stared at the martial arts practice platform. As long as they could join the Sky Sword Mansion's number 1 army, it would mean that they would have a higher rank. At that time, even if they made a small mistake, nothing would happen to them. Moreover, they were protected by their ranks. Ordinary powerhouses would not dare to attack them. Other than that, with a rank, one could obtain resources from the Sky Sword Mansion. Just thinking about it made them extremely excited. When Fang Chen arrived, the huge square was filled with a sea of people. Fang Chen could clearly feel that the aura in the crowd was extremely dense. There are so many high-level Mystic King Realm powerhouses, Fang Chen thought to himself. With his current strength, he did not feel any pressure when facing a mid-level Mystic King Realm powerhouse. Even if he faced a 7th-level Mystic King Realm powerhouse, he was confident that he could escape unscathed with the space-time true intent. However, if the opponent was stronger, Fang Chen would not be able to deal with it. His cultivation was his weakness. If his cultivation could reach the 3rd or 4th level Mystic King Realm, he would definitely be able to join the first army. No matter what, I'll give it a try, Fang Chen thought to himself. At this moment, an old man came out from the city master's mansion. He stood on the martial arts practice platform with an imperial edict in his hand. Everyone, the first army suffered heavy losses while carrying out a mission a few days ago. We need to recruit new blood to maintain the number of people in the first army, the old man said slowly. Instantly, there was silence as everyone listened attentively. This time, the first army is recruiting 200 people. Anyone who wants to join the Sky Sword Mansion can sign up. Of course, there is also a strength restriction. The minimum strength requirement is the mid-level Mystic King Realm. Anyone below the mid-level will not be recruited. After hearing the old man's words, everyone nodded their heads. The members of the 4 armies of the Sky Sword Mansion were all abnormally strong. It was impossible for the Sky Sword Mansion to recruit low-level Mystic King Realm powerhouses. Such powerhouses were at the bottom of the Sky Sword Mansion's territory. Must I be at the mid-level Mystic King Realm? Hearing this, Fang Chen revealed a trace of a smile on his face. If his cultivation did not meet the requirements, but his strength did, he could sign up. First, I want to make it clear to everyone. Don't think that you can live peacefully after joining the Sky Sword Mansion. The old man waved his hand and said, "It's not like that. If you join the Sky Sword Mansion, you will have to carry out missions for the Sky Sword Mansion at any time. Some missions are so dangerous that even the leader of the army is afraid of them." The old man said this to get some cowardly powerhouses to withdraw. The Sky Sword Mansion did not need cowardly powerhouses. The majority of the powerhouses that had come to sign up this time knew why the first army was recruiting powerhouses. They were already mentally prepared. Even though the old man said this, no one withdrew. Seeing this, the old man nodded his head in satisfaction and said, "Since that's the case, let's begin the registration." On the martial stage, there were several staff members beside the old man. As long as someone went up to sign up, they would record that person's information into a token and give it to the applicant. Just as the old man finished speaking, the first person to sign up went up. He was wearing black clothes and emitted a terrifying aura. There was a sword scar on his face that was incomparably demonic. His appearance caused an uproar. "Young Master Jian Hen? Why is he here?" Seeing this person, everyone cried out in alarm. Young Master Jian Hen had a certain amount of fame in the Sky Sword Mansion's territory. His cultivation was at the 8th level of the Mystic King Realm. Most importantly, his father was in the Sky Sword Mansion. With such a prominent status, he actually wanted to join the first army. With young Master Jian Hen's strength, there's no doubt that he'll join the first army. Young Master Jian Hen has come to sign up. I wonder if Jin Yidao has come. Young Master Jian Hen finished his registration amidst the clamor. Right at this moment, a man wearing golden clothes and carrying a golden saber on his back stepped onto the martial stage. When he saw young Master Jian Hen, the corner of his mouth rose, revealing a sinister smile. Jin Yidao had arrived. Jin Yidao, You also want to join the First Army? Asked young Master Jian Hen suddenly. If you can join, why can't I? From their tone, it was obvious that there was some enmity between the two of them. After saying that, Jin Yidao no longer paid any attention to young Master Jian Hen. After signing up, he turned and left. In the following time, one cultivator after another went up to sign up. Occasionally, some cultivators would cause a stir. After waiting for 4 hours, it was finally Fang Chen's turn. Fang Chen went up to sign up. Release your cultivation base, said the staff member. Spiritual energy surged around Fang Chen as he released his own aura. MN. Second level of the Mystic King Realm. The staff member frowned slightly and said with a bit of displeasure, not up to standard. According to what that senior said, the minimum requirement for strength is the middle stage of the profound King Realm, not cultivation base, said Fang Chen bluntly. You're saying your strength is comparable to a middle stage profound King Realm cultivator? Asked the staff member. Fang Chen nodded. Then, he gently threw out a punch. Seeing this, the staff member hastily punched out to block Fang Chen's attack. Then, his expression kept changing. In the end, he changed his attitude and chuckled. Your strength is comparable to a 4th stage profound King Realm cultivator. You can sign up. After saying that, he helped Fang Chen with the registration process. No one cared about Fang Chen's registration. What kind of waves could a 2nd stage profound King Realm cultivator cause? After Fang Chen finished his registration, the registration process ended. The total number of people who signed up was 80,000. Among them, there were 30,000 high-stage profound King Realm cultivators. Hearing this number, Fang Chen couldn't help being speechless. Chapter 955. A small army recruitment had attracted more than 80,000 people. Fang Chen sighed. There were too many experts in the Sky Sword Mansion. The registration is over. The official assessment will be held in 3 days. The old man entered the city lord's mansion after he finished speaking. The crowd in the square dispersed, and Fang Chen returned to his courtyard. Boss, out of the 80,000 people who signed up, there are 30,000 high-level Mystic King Realm martial artists. You don't have any advantage. The little mouse jumped onto Fang Chen's shoulder and said. Fang Chen shook his head helplessly. I underestimated the Sky Sword Mansion's martial artists. Fang Chen said in his heart. Of course, Fang Chen wouldn't give up so easily. He had carefully observed the crowd when they signed up. Among the 30,000 high-level Mystic King Realm martial artists, there were 5 people who were feared the most. These 5 people were known as the strongest in the 8th level Mystic King Realm. Among the 30,000 high-level Mystic King Realm martial artists, the strongest was in the 8th level Mystic King Realm. As for the 9th level martial artists, they were focused on breaking through to the Heaven Dipper realm. Jian Hen Young Master, Jin Yidao, Dai Hongxian, Han Luo, and Fairy Qi Yu. These 5 people were the cream of the crop among the 80,000 martial artists who signed up. They were also recognized as the strongest in the 8th level Mystic King Realm. If I don't meet these 5 people in the assessment, I might still have a chance. Fang Chen said to himself. His space-time true intent had reached the peak of the 4th grade, and he had completely mastered time stop and space travel. Facing a 7th level Mystic King Realm martial artist, it wasn't a problem for him to escape unscathed. After pondering for a long time, Fang Chen couldn't help but sigh. The competition this time was very stressful. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Fang Chen came to a place called the Sky Sword Square as promised. There was a sea of people here. All 80,000 martial artists were present. Everyone's eyes were filled with a burning desire. At the front of the Sky Sword Square, there were 5 figures. The crowd seemed to be afraid of these 5 people and retreated. After a while, the old man appeared. Everyone, today is the day of the Sky Sword Mansion's #1 army recruitment test. The old man said loudly, after our City Lord Mansion's research, this examination is divided into 3 stages. If you pass all 3 stages, you can become a member of our Sky Sword Mansion's #1 army. The old man briefly explained the 3 tests. The first stage was a chaotic battle. The Sky Sword Square could accommodate more than 200,000 people at the same time. The plaza was extremely huge, and these 80,000 people were going to engage in a chaotic battle on the Sky Sword Plaza. In the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, those who could last until the end would be considered to have passed the test. Those who failed would be eliminated. A smile appeared on Fang Chen's face when he heard that. If it was a head-on battle, he had no chance of winning. However, the chaotic battle was very advantageous to him. I have the true meaning of space-time. It's impossible for others to attack me, Fang Chen thought to himself. As for the other martial artists, they were frowning in distress. Initially, he thought that he could fish in troubled waters, but now, there was no other way. In the chaotic battle, if you take the initiative to leave the Sky Sword Plaza, you will be considered to have admitted defeat. Others cannot chase after you. The old man said in a deep voice, his words were filled with a majesty that could not be defied. Subsequently, the old man's wrist shook, and an array appeared on the Sky Sword Plaza, enveloping everyone. Chaotic battle, begin. As soon as the old man's voice fell, the 80,000 people suddenly moved. Go to hell. The martial artist closest to Fang Chen threw a punch at Fang Chen. However, Fang Chen had used the true meaning of space-time and disappeared. The martial artist's punch missed, and he did not have time to think before he went to deal with the next person. Bang bang bang. The people of the Sky Sword Mansion were watching the chaotic battle from the outside. The chaotic battle had just begun, and hundreds of people were eliminated. In a chaotic battle of 80,000 people, even the 5 great experts did not dare to be careless. Once they were surrounded, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, the 5 great experts' figures were constantly flickering, not giving the crowd a chance to surround and attack. Everyone, attack Gen Scar Young Master together. Someone shouted in a certain area. Suddenly, hundreds of martial artists surrounded Gen Scar Young Master. Puchi Gen Scar Young Master's figure flickered, and every time he pointed the long sword in his hand, there would be martial artists that were heavily injured or killed. I admit defeat. A martial artist felt that his life was in danger, and he directly jumped out of the Sky Sword Plaza and shouted to admit defeat. The group that surrounded Gen Scar Young Master was instantly disintegrated. In the chaotic battle, Fang Chen was the most relaxed one. The true meaning of space-time was an exceptional true meaning, and it was extremely profound. He could easily dodge everyone's attacks, and it was very satisfying. Outside, the old man finally noticed Fang Chen. This person has a true meaning of space-time. The old man said. True meaning of space-time was very difficult to comprehend. Among the 80,000 people, besides Fang Chen, there was no other martial artist that had a true meaning of space-time. One could imagine how powerful a true meaning of space-time was. However, the old man soon sighed, shook his head, and said, unfortunately, this person's cultivation is too low. The chaotic battle was still ongoing. Sometimes, martial artists would be eliminated, and sometimes, martial artists would be killed. When there was only half an incense's time left, the number of eliminated people had reached 10,000. Even the death toll was more than 1,000. The chaotic battle was too cruel. In the plaza, although there were people who noticed Fang Chen, there was no time to waste. However, there was no time to waste. Hence, more people gave up on pursuing Fang Chen. Puchi. The attacks of the 5 experts were very fierce, and as long as someone approached, they would be killed immediately. As time passed, there were actually 5 people who dared to approach the 5 experts. Space freeze. At a certain moment, just as Fang Chen's figure appeared, a 4th-level Mystic King Realm martial artist came to kill him. Fang Chen executed the true meaning of space-time, causing the surrounding space to freeze temporarily. Then, he threw out a punch. In an instant, the 4th-level Mystic King Realm martial artist was killed. It's almost time, Fang Chen said. Continuously executing the true meaning of space-time consumed too much energy. Outside, the 5 experts are all very powerful. There's no problem for them to join the army, an old man from the city governor's mansion said. Yeah, the first place will definitely be born from the 5 of them. Thinking of the city governor's words, the few of them felt a slight warmth in their hearts. The old man in charge of recruitment did not mention the reward for the first place to the crowd at all. However, this was said by the city governor himself. The person who won first place in this recruitment would be rewarded handsomely. While the few of them were discussing, the time was finally up. Whoosh! After the incense finished burning, the array on the sky sword square was removed. It's over. The people who were left behind woke up from their nightmares, and their faces were filled with excitement. Fang Chen no longer executed the true meaning of space-time and revealed his true body. The first round of the assessment is over. 40,000 people have been eliminated, the old man in charge of recruitment said. Fang Chen's heart trembled when he heard that. 40,000 people were eliminated in the first round of the assessment. And there were thousands of deaths. It was too cruel. The 5 experts were still standing at the forefront. The remaining 40,000 people will have a day to rest. The second round of the assessment will begin tomorrow. After the first round of the assessment ended, everyone received the news. The eliminated martial artists were depressed. The martial artists who stayed behind were extremely excited. Fang Chen left quietly and returned to the courtyard. However, there were people who noticed Fang Chen. Investigate this person's background for me. Jian Scar young master waved his hand and a martial artist ran over. Yes. The martial artist disappeared into the crowd. After a while, he came back with news. Jian Scar young master, this person just came to the Sky Sword Mansion recently. He seems to be from the mortal continent and has no background. Jian Scar young master's eyes flickered when he heard that. He then smiled and said, since that's the case, bring a gift and visit this person. Invite him to join my camp. Jian Scar young master saw Fang Chen's true meaning of spacetime in the chaotic battle. Although this person's cultivation was at the second level of the profound king realm, his future achievements would definitely be extraordinary. Jian Scar young master wanted to take this person under his command. Young master, don't worry. I'll go now. Fang Chen returned to the courtyard. As soon as he sat down, the waiter ran over. Sir, there's someone outside who wants to see you. Yes. I just came to the Sky Sword Mansion and don't know anyone. Who is it? As he spoke, a person walked in from outside the courtyard. Young Master Fang Chen, I'm Young Master Jian Scar's subordinate. I'm here to invite you on behalf of Young Master Jian Scar. After speaking, the person took out an interspatial ring and placed it on the stone table. Jian Scar young master. Fang Chen was a little puzzled when he heard that. If you're willing to join young master Jian Scar's camp, you will definitely be put in an important position by him. Chapter 956. Fang Chen sank into contemplation. Seeing Fang Chen's hesitation, he continued, young master Jian Hen will definitely be able to join the First Army. If you join him, no one in the Heavenly Sword Mansion will dare to attack you. What do I need to do? Asked Fang Chen. You only need to wholeheartedly work for young Master Jian Hen, said that person. From then on, your life will belong to young Master Jian Hen. After hearing this person's words, Fang Chen shook his head and rejected. Sorry, but I don't want to join any power for now. Are you openly going against the Jian Scar young master? That person's expression changed and he icily said. Just a moment ago, he had been polite to Fang Chen. But in the blink of an eye, his attitude had completely changed. His words contained a sharp aura. It was as if Fang Chen didn't obey, he would be in danger of dying. I have no intention of opposing young Master Jian Hen, said Fang Chen calmly. As a newcomer, he was very weak. He couldn't casually provoke an enemy. This young Master Jian Hen was someone that even Fang Chen was a bit afraid of. Young Master Jian Hen wants to recruit you. This is your fortune. You actually refused, said that person icily. Fang Chen was about to speak when a voice rang out from outside the courtyard. Since when has young Master Jian Hen become so overbearing? Others don't even have a choice. As soon as he finished speaking, Jin Yidao casually walked in. Jin Yidao. Seeing this, the man frowned. Scram. You're not welcome here, berated Jin Yidao. Jin Yidao, I'm working for young Master Jian Hen. You. That person wanted to use young Master Jian Hen to pressure Jin Yidao. Unfortunately, the other party was Jin Yidao. I won't scram. Jin Yidao frowned. His aura began to revolve around him. Seeing Jin Yidao's anger, that person left in a panic. Many thanks for your help, brother. Fang Chen cupped his hands towards Jin Yidao. Jin Yidao was very surprised to see him here. However, Fang Chen faintly guessed something. Was this Jin Yidao the same as the young master of the sword scar, trying to recruit him? Fang Chen, right? Jin Yidao stared at Fang Chen and asked. Fang Chen nodded and pointed to a stone stool. Sit. The two of them sat on the stone bench and looked at each other. After a long time, Jin Yidao laughed heartily. Who would have thought that a second-level profound King Realm martial artist would actually be able to come to the foreign lands, said Jin Yidao. Fang Chen didn't say anything. He was trying to figure out Jin Yidao's intentions. You don't have to be wary of me. Just like you, I'm also from the mortal continent. Jin Yidao shrugged. Fang Chen was startled. He looked at Jin Yidao in astonishment. It turned out that this person was also from the mortal continent. Those foreign aboriginals look down on us from the mortal continent, so we should be even more united. Jin Yidao said, I have no other intentions in coming here this time. It's just that I can't stand the way Sir Jian Hen does things. Hearing this, Fang Chen nodded. This Jin Yidao had a straightforward personality. It seemed like he could make friends with him. In the following time, Fang Chen and Jin Yidao chatted a lot. In the end, Jin Yidao left. He told Fang Chen that if he was able to help during the trial, he would lend a hand. It could be considered as his investment in Fang Chen. It was also to help the martial artists from the mortal continent. After a silent night, the next day arrived. On the Heavenly Sword Plaza, 40,000 people stood quietly. The 5 great experts were still standing at the forefront. When Fang Chen arrived, the sword scar young master glanced at him, intentionally or unintentionally. Fang Chen felt a flash of killing intent in Sir Jian Hen's eyes. This Sir Jian Hen wants to kill me, Fang Chen said to himself. Soon, the old man in charge of recruitment appeared. He smiled and said, Everyone, today is the second round of the assessment. The plaza was silent. Everyone was waiting for the old man to speak. I believe everyone knows how cruel the first round was. The old man looked around and asked, I can tell you without exaggeration that the remaining 2 rounds will be even crueler than the first round. You still have the chance to choose. If you want to withdraw, leave the Heavenly Sword Plaza. The old man gave everyone a chance. Between life and cultivation level, which was more important? Without a doubt, life was more important. As long as one was alive, anything was possible. Hearing the old man's words, some martial artists were shaken. The sound of discussion instantly spread out. I withdraw. Rather than lose my life, I'd rather withdraw. With the first, there would be a second. In the blink of an eye, over 1,000 people withdrew. Most of these martial artists were at the bottom of the middle level of the Mystic King realm. Their withdrawal did not affect the recruitment of martial artists at all. Apart from these 1,000 people, the others did not have any thoughts of withdrawing. Seeing this, the old man nodded and said, You chose your own path. You will bear the consequences. Next, we will proceed to the second round of the assessment. The second round of the assessment was not at the Heavenly Sword Plaza, but at a mountain range called the Sword Peak. The Sword Peak mountain range is the location of the second round of the assessment. The old man led everyone to the Sword Peak mountain range. There are a large number of Mystic King realm beasts in the Sword Peak mountain range. Your goal is to seize the beast cores of the Mystic King realm beasts. The 1,000 people with the most beast cores will enter the third round. Hearing this, there was an uproar. This second round would actually eliminate over 30,000 people. The competition this time was much more intense than the first round's chaotic battle. Moreover, there was no room for negotiation. When encountering danger, there was no way to withdraw. Time is 3 days. Go in, the old man said. Rumble. Numerous martial artists swarmed into the Sword Peak mountain range. As soon as they entered the mountain range, they scattered. The danger of this round did not only come from the beasts, but more importantly, from the competitors. The city lord's mansion wanted to recruit martial artists who bathed in the edge of life and death and constantly fought, not martial artists who reaped the fruits of others' labor. To them, the death of over 10,000 martial artists did not affect them much. Outside the Sword Peak mountain range. "I don't know how many people will die in 3 days, an old man said. "We've already given them a chance. They can't blame others if they die," the old man in charge of recruitment said in a deep voice. The few old men nodded slightly. Recruiting 200 people, but there were 80,000 people who signed up. Before the start, they had already expected that the competition would be more intense than before. Fang Chen entered the mountain range and used the space-time true meaning to fly rapidly. In the blink of an eye, he separated from the others. The purpose of this was to prevent a sneak attack. The Sword Peak mountain range was very large. Fang Chen came to a deep forest. "There's the aura of beasts here." Little Mouse stood on Fang Chen's shoulder. "Let's go." Even Heaven Star Realm martial artists could not release their soul power to observe the Sword Peak mountain range at all times. Therefore, the participants did not have to be afraid. They would be discovered if they killed others. And Fang Chen naturally did not have to worry about Little Mouse being exposed. A man and a mouse quickly entered the deep forest. Roar. Sure enough, there were beasts around. A beastly roar was heard. Then, Fang Chen and the little mouse saw a demonic beast with black scales all over its body walking towards them. The beast did not say anything and directly attacked. Bang! Fang Chen executed the 3-revolution radiant sword art to attack the black-scaled beast. However, it did not leave a single wound on the beast. The defense of these scales is so strong. Fang Chen could not help but exclaim. He had never seen such a beast before. In the vast outer region, there were thousands of beasts. There were all kinds of beasts. This demonic beast's attack power is approximately at the 5th level of the Mystic King realm, Fang Chen muttered to himself. The black-scaled beast's attack was not enough to threaten Fang Chen. However, Fang Chen's attack was also unable to break through the black-scaled beast's defense. "Boss, let me do it." After attacking for a while, it was unable to do anything to the black-scaled demonic beast. Then, Little Mouse executed its innate ability. It opened its bloody mouth and a terrifying suction force enveloped it. The black-scaled beast sensed the danger of death and struggled desperately. However, there was nothing it could do. Crack! The hard black scales were easily crushed by Little Mouse. After the black-scaled beast died, the Little Mouse spat out a black inner core from its mouth. The first inner core. Little Mouse passed it to Fang Chen, who smiled. "Your teeth are getting more and more domineering." Fang Chen gently stroked Little Mouse's head. Chapter 957. In the following period of time, Fang Chen encountered some demonic beasts that were very weak and were easily killed. In just one morning, Fang Chen obtained 10 cores. There were nearly 40,000 people in the Sword Peak mountain range, and they were all crazily killing demonic beasts to obtain cores. Of course, these competitors would also kill each other. In a certain clearing, there were 2 cultivators working together to kill a demonic beast. "Take this core first. When we kill the next demonic beast, the core will belong to me," the man in green said with a smile. The man in black nodded and took the core, preparing to put it away. Right at this moment, a trace of killing intent flashed in the man's eyes. Then, when the black-clothed man was caught off guard, a dagger was stabbed into his chest. "You." When the man in black felt that something was wrong, he was already heavily injured. "This time, my goal is to join the army. This core is mine." The man in black fell to the ground unwillingly. Not only did the man in green take back the core, but he also took all the cores in the man in black's interspatial ring. Then, he turned around and disappeared. Things like this were everywhere in the Sword Peak mountain range. This was only a small part of it. Of course, they were weak in terms of speed in killing demonic beasts. No one could compare to the 5 great experts. They were strong and killing demonic beasts was like playing. The number of cores the 5 great experts had was far ahead when they entered the Sword Peak mountain range. In the morning, Fang Chen didn't encounter any danger. In the afternoon, Fang Chen encountered a competitor. How lucky to encounter this kid. A 5th-level Mystic King Realm cultivator's eyes were filled with killing intent when he saw Fang Chen. Fang Chen had the lowest cultivation in the 2nd stage. Although his combat strength was comparable to a 4th-level Mystic King Realm cultivator, this person wasn't afraid. Kid, hand over your core obediently and I can spare your life. Pucci as he spoke, Fang Chen killed a demonic beast with a backhand slash and took the core. At this moment, he turned around to look at this person. I was just worrying about how to get the core, and someone came knocking on my door, Fang Chen said with a smile. The 5th-level profound King Realm martial artist had a wisp of displeasure between his brows when he saw Fang Chen's smile. Kid, I hate you. So not only do you have to hand over your core, but you also have to hand over your life. After speaking, this person attacked Fang Chen. What a joke. A 5th-level Mystic King Realm cultivator wasn't worth mentioning in Fang Chen's eyes. Fang Chen did not even use the 3 Revolutions Radiant sword art. Instead, he punched out with his physical strength. Crack! This martial artist's arm was directly blasted off by Fang Chen. A miserable cry came out of the man's mouth. You hid your strength. This person looked at Fang Chen in horror and shouted. In that instant, he knew that he was no match for Fang Chen's strength. Now you know how to be afraid. Fang Chen looked at this person playfully. This person continuously retreated. At the same time, he said, Brother, I was wrong. How about we let this matter go? If you can't beat me, then beg for mercy. Fang Chen replied with a question. Then what do you want? Asked this person. Hand over your core, said Fang Chen. Whoosh. This person had no choice but to hand over his core. I'll give you one last chance. Hand over all your cores. Otherwise, a sinister expression flashed across Fang Chen's face as he said in a cold voice. Hearing this person retreated in terror. Clenching his teeth, he handed over all his cores to Fang Chen and said, I've also handed over my cores. Can you let me go now? However, in his heart, he remembered Fang Chen. Kid, just you wait. After this trial, I'll definitely make you wish you were dead. Sorry, but I'm afraid you can't leave yet, said Fang Chen. What are you planning on doing? This person became vigilant. Because I never planned on letting you leave alive. After saying this, he used the true meaning of space-time. His fist instantly smashed into this person's head. Ah! A miserable scream rang out. This person didn't even have the chance to resist before he was killed by Fang Chen. After that, Fang Chen took the man's space ring and quickly left the place. Not long after Fang Chen left, a group of cultivators hastily arrived. 5th brother. The person at the front cried out in grief when he saw the cultivator lying on the ground. No matter who you are, you killed my 5th brother. I'll kill you. This person roared furiously. Then, he led the crowd in the direction that Fang Chen had left in. 2 hours later, Fang Chen found a safe place. Then he began to take stock of his cores. As expected, robbing other people's cores is faster. Fang Chen said with a grin. The person that he killed must have snatched the inner cores of other people before. In addition to the cores he obtained in the morning, he had a total of 30 cores. I still need to work harder, Fang Chen muttered to himself. He was at a disadvantage in killing demonic beasts and obtaining cores, so he had to work harder. However, just as Fang Chen was thinking, he suddenly heard some voices. Boss, what's wrong? I feel that the murderer is in this area, said the person at the front. He had a unique method that could roughly determine the murderer's location, but he couldn't find out the exact location. Search this area. I won't let him go for killing my 5th brother. In the cave, Fang Chen gradually understood when he heard these words. These people seem to be looking for me. Then he thought of the 5th-level Mystic King Realm cultivator he killed earlier. It seemed that these people were in cahoots with that person. Through the entrance of the cave, Fang Chen discovered that there were a total of more than 30 people in this group. The person at the front was at the 7th-level Mystic King Realm, while the others were mid-level Mystic King Realm cultivators. Boss, are you tempted? Asked the little mouse. Since I already have enmity with them, I don't care about anything else, said Fang Chen. That's great. The little mouse smiled excitedly. Fang Chen used the true meaning of time and space to hide in the void. He quietly walked out of the cave and began to hunt these 30 people. The 30 people quickly spread out and searched the area for the murderer. As for Fang Chen, he had locked onto the weakest warrior. 4th level Mystic King Realm, I'll choose you. Under the true meaning of time and space, the others couldn't detect Fang Chen at all. Boss is really angry this time. If I find the murderer, Boss will definitely reward me, this person muttered to himself. However, he never dreamed that this would be the last sentence he would say in his life. Pucha the Ice Secret Sword silently pierced this person's head and instantly shattered his soul. His body softly fell to the ground. Fang Chen put away the interspatial ring and disappeared again. In 15 minutes, Fang Chen killed 10 cultivators. Finally, at a certain moment, someone noticed that something was wrong. "Ah, there's a corpse up ahead," someone said. Immediately, he hurriedly ran over. Seeing the corpse, his expression changed and he shouted, "Boss, this is bad." Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the boss flew over and asked, "What's wrong?" "Boss, look." This person pointed at the corpse on the ground. "It must be the murderer. He's in this area," the boss roared, his veins popping out. Not long after, they found the 10 corpses. "Damned murderer, I'll tear you to pieces," the boss roared angrily. The other cultivators looked at each other in fear. "Boss, this murderer is very strong. He killed so many of our brothers without anyone noticing," someone said timidly. "Continue searching. Don't be more than half a mile away from each other. If you find the murderer, notify me immediately," the boss said coldly. The murderer didn't dare to appear directly. This meant that he was afraid of his strength. The boss guessed that the murderer would appear again. The remaining 20 people continued to scatter and look for the murderer. However, the distance between them was very small. If something was wrong, the others would know right away. Fang Chen, who was hiding in the void of space, looked down. "You think you can stop me like this?" Sneering, Fang Chen once again chose a target. After that, he used the true meaning of time and space to imprison a cultivator. Pucha the Ice Secret Sword attacked and the cultivator fell to the ground. "The murderer has appeared." At that moment, the nearby cultivators all shouted. Whoosh whoosh, but when the boss arrived, Fang Chen had already put away the interspatial ring and disappeared. "Where is he?"